Here's a message of importance to millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are away. We are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs,
we are away.
If you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset, start taking iron today.
Well, TGIF, ladies and gentlemen, thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's flat. My name is Josh Corey. You have tuned in to Have No Sphere right here on the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. I want to jump right in and say hello to the fellas that we got waiting on the line. I'm going to jump right in. Just because Walt turned on his camera, I want to say hello to Walter first. Walt. We had a hell of a show this morning, and I got to tell you, that was amazing.
Yes.
Amazing show this morning on the Ironworks.
Without a doubt, man. We met Shelley Lewis this morning, and if you don't know who she is all over the place with Flat Earth, with truth in general. We'll put the link in the description for the show. Phenomenal. For sure, 2 hours was not enough. We invited her over here to the YouTube show with the rest of the people who are helping produce the Plain Truth documentary. Shout out to Travis of Red Hen Radio. Thank you, man, for helping us get hooked up with Shelley. It was definitely our usual fumbling back and forth, wrong emails, wrong addresses, but we finally got it together this morning, and it was definitely worth all the fumbling on our part. She was immaculately professional. She's had her own show since, she said, October over there on FER Live. See, I knew I would not say. I almost said TFR Live. FER Live, yes, definitely an amazing. I was checking that out this morning in a little more depth. I heard about it when it first launched. It just haven't gone back a whole lot here and there. Paul and the Plane, which send the link But anyway, definitely a great platform to go check out as well. But for sure, excited about the documentary. Have a new favorite show to go listen to over there on FER Live, Down the Rabbit Hole, I believe on Wednesdays. So thank you again, Shelley. It was a great morning.
Yeah, it was. We had a good time. And since we're at it, we might as well go ahead and head on over to Zachary. Good times for all. Too nice for rice. Maven Johnson, the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. See, I feel like there's one more that I missed. But anyway, that's a whole bunch.
I think you got him.
How you doing, Zach?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Putting about 1,300 more miles underneath the belt, heading down to Florida with Jack and fam to go pick up one of his children who is visiting some family down there, and going to stop and visit A. McKenzie. Shout out, Adam and family. Real excited. Hank's real excited to see his buddy Bo. So, yeah, it's been a great day. Put about 5 more feet onto the guard and had an awesome show this morning. So yeah, I'm ready to get going here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good time. Going to have a real good time. I'm going to head over to Adam Meakin. Since Adam's feeling a bit poorly, we're just going to get his hellos out of the way so he can go back to resting his face. So Adam, aside from your typical post-vacay sinus issues, how's your week been?
Yeah, shit.
Sorry to hear that. That sucks. I say as I laugh.
Yes, started shit. Been really freaking busy. Bank holiday, so everybody's panicking. Like they're going to run out of milk. You know. And it's ending shit right now, so yeah. Excuse me for my miserable demeanour this evening.
That's all right.
I'm done.
Everybody gets a pass every once in a while. I mean, hell, we put up with John Savage on a weekly basis, so you might as well get one day to be a miserable cunt, right?
Fair enough. In that case, join me on Ballbusters tomorrow.
That's right. Adam's going to be over on Ballbusters over on Nathan Oakley's channel tomorrow, so that ought to be really good, provided he's a little bit more lively than he is right now. But we'll give him a chance to rest up tonight, so he doesn't have to participate too much. He can sit back and relax.
Cheers, guys. I'm looking forward to, like I say, sitting here quietly, and I'll have a good listen and hopefully learn a bit more again.
Well, I'll make you keep an eye out on Skype and stuff for when Cami shows up. Make sure she gets in all right.
I'm on duty, boss.
Beautiful. That leaves us with John Savage. That wasn't very loud. Savage! There we go. How you doing this week, John?
Not too bad, Josh. Not too bad. Better than some by the sounds of things. Nice and chirpy and happy. Not really. I've been doing plumbing all bloody week. So I've got no heating and I've got no hot water again.
Just like a caveman.
I've got a fully working system now. I've got the wood burner attached to the hot water cylinder. So it's all ready to go. The only thing I don't have is a radiator key to bleed the sodding thing when I fill it up. So I'm being held back by a 4 or 5 millimeter, maybe 6. It's key. You'd think every radiator key would be the same, or they'd at least mark them with the right size. But no, it's like finding hen's teeth in this country. So I've just spent, £7 postage to get 2 58p keys. And they're not even going to turn up until after the sodding bank holiday. God, I hate bank holidays. So yeah, I'm in a great mood.
So just clarify my American ignorance. What the hell's a bank holiday? What, all the banks just shut down?
I don't know why they call it a bank holiday. Banks are always shut early and stupid times and all the rest of it. I mean, bankers are permanently on holiday, but I don't know. They deem us a Monday off every now and again, and there's 2 of them in May, and there was 1 in March, and it throws the whole country into mayhem. And there's no point in even setting foot outside your door on a bank holiday because the roads are just chocker everywhere because everyone's like busting their ass to get down to the seaside or go to the warehouse stores and buy up all the crap they've got on sale there. And yeah, it's just pain in the ass. I mean, I used to love them when I worked, but now I don't work. I really don't want to have bank holidays. But anyway, looking forward to the show and catching up with old friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good show. We're going to start off with some updates from Didi Van. Gary is deeply engrossed in much more important things at the moment, but hopefully he may be joining us soon. Then we're going to do a little bit of a replay since I was back on 97.1 FM NewsTalk here in St. Louis. So I guess
and did an awesome job, by the way.
Well, thanks. So I guess we're going to replay that before we get in with Cami. And the way I understand it, once Cami gets in, we're going to get into a little bit of crystals, talking about crystals. And little bit of 101 basic gemology type stuff going on there. So I think that's going to be really good because there's a whole bunch of info I'm really interested in both learning and asking about. So looking forward to that. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and say hello to Didi Van, who's going to give us several very important updates this week. Didi, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm great.
Hi, Didi.
Hello, Didi.
Hi, Didi.
Hi.
You sounded like Eeyore.
I felt it's more like Marvin, the miserable computer in Hitchhiker's.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So what's been happening with you, Didi? What's going on?
Yeah, but we've been quite away for a while because we've been working on the convention, and about 2 weeks ago we went to Amsterdam. So me, Gary, and the team, we met up in Amsterdam and did the final decision making and the final negotiations, and just, you know, we went to the campsite, we went to the venues, we did transport options, we tried everything out, we took some pictures and recorded a whole lot of things, and we went looking for debaters as well, but unfortunately we had to make some final decisions. So now, a couple of weeks after the visit, we changed up the website a bit, and the schedule, everything been switched around a little bit, but you know, it's getting closer and closer, so we have to make some calls now. Otherwise, it's September before you know it.
Huh.
Can't believe it's already May.
I know it. That's just exactly what I was thinking. I was just trying to sit here and think in my head, what the hell have I been doing?
I know, next month is halfway through the year. I mean, it only started a few days ago, didn't it? Madness.
That is madness. So
Yeah,
you go ahead.
like you say, I remember we started a year before September, and now we're halfway there already. So it goes by so quickly, and you know, before we can finalize everything, you have to make some decisions because a month goes by in an instant these days.
Certainly does seem that way. Yeah, hell, it's already May. Criminy.
So what's new, Didi? What you got on the cards for us?
Well, the first thing is we went to visit the Friday schedule because we had some plans for the Friday and have a little party there. And, you know, Mark Devlin was coming and Martiniki was doing some comedy, and we had the open mic. But the venue itself, we looked around for a couple of venues, and they were just all too tiny, or it didn't work out, or we didn't have the electricity, or it was just a pain in the ass, like they say. So we decided to cancel the Friday venue and just went for a party at the campsite. Since we're already at the campsite, they have plenty of space to have like a campfire. We have some benches over there. So we went to the campsite and stayed there for 2 nights when we went to Amsterdam. So we took a whole lot of pictures.
That looks like my shed. I mean, it looks like the shed I wish I had. Cool, blimey. That's awesome.
I've
Those are
got
the
an important
cabins.
question on that. Got those. Why did you start with the toilets?
Well, a lot of people ask about sanitary options in campsites, so we decided to make some very clear pictures about the toilets, and this is a shower, for example. So it has everything you need, and it's very clean, and it's a great little campsite.
I can't remember. Do they have toilets in Amsterdam? I mean, or do you squat?
It's only France. It's only Paris.
Or you probably get fined by doing something in public these days.
I wasn't talking about in public.
Amsterdam, there's people everywhere. So
He's scared,
I'm
Didi,
asking
whether
if
you've
you've
got
got-
those continental toilets where every now and again you nip off on the continent for. I'll just go to the toilet, and you go there quite happy until you see there's just some footmarks and a hole in the ground with a couple of disabled handles stuck to the wall, and
If
you
you're
don't know
lucky.
what, and you've got to go. Don't know what to do.
Or do you have a porcelain throne like we do here in civilized places? Stop giggling, just answer the question. Last one I went into was in Africa, and it didn't have it. It had a hose, a tap and a hose instead of toilet paper, and I wasn't having that. So I got a big wad of shillings out of my pocket, and they did the job. Probably the most unhygienic thing on the planet to do. If it was a planet.
In Italy, I've got a bidet, John. I miss my bidet.
You can get conversion kits over here now, I saw.
The epithelial cell turnover rate of my arsehole. This is the bidet.
Anyway, how do we get onto that?
Yeah, moving on, because I'm...
Seems like all of our conversations is up at Adam's asshole. What the hell?
An image now.
Looks really
Nasty.
cool, though. Those pictures you got going there. Are they going out over the live stream?
I would certainly hope so. So that should be all about Adam.
Yeah. Let me make them bigger. There you go. There's the toilets.
The throne.
Yeah, I got most of the pictures are on the website now. So if people look on the FEconvention.com, you will see our updated information, new pictures of the inside, some pictures of the venue. So you just get a better idea.
That venue is gorgeous too.
Yeah, we're really happy about the main venue because everything worked out there. We just had some problems with the Friday venue, but so far so good. So another problem we encountered is debaters. We had a lot of problem finding decent debaters because we didn't want to get students like we did last year, and we got a lot of YouTubers stepping up to be a debater. But you know, people can go online for a flat earth debate. There's plenty of that online. So we had to make a choice, and we decided to scratch the debate because we had to move the speakers from the Friday to the Saturday as well. And so the whole program has been switched around, but it's still going to be a great convention because we have the tour coming by on Monday. They will be joining the stage as well. We have like 12 speakers in total. For Saturday, we will have 6, and Sunday we have 7. And that's another another part of the big news I wanted to tell you today is we're having a new speaker to be announced today, and I'm very, very excited because it's the first time he's gonna go on stage and do like a presentation. So very excited about the new speaker.
Don't keep us in suspense, man.
Right.
I was gonna say that's harsh, wasn't it?
That was a tease.
So yeah, who's the speaker?
Oh, you just saw it on the picture. We have Zach joining us as a speaker. He's from Spain. Most people know him as Dr. Zach, but these days he goes by Decimal Z on his channel. And he will be joining us for the convention as a speaker on the Saturday, probably. And we're very excited.
I bet that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. He's one of my
Just an amazing content provider.
Yes, one of my go-to guys for sure. Been loving his work. And then there's a rap song out there with this awesome rap chick. I don't know if you know her. DJ Dizzy Karen. I don't know. Something about spinny DJ chick. I don't know her name. But anyway.
Yeah, with Zach around, it's always fun and games in the evening, lots of laughing. And then during the presentation, he has a lot of research he did. He has a lot of great content. So I'm a big fan, and I'm very excited to have him come over.
Yeah, that should be great.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Great job getting him to come out and do that. I know it wasn't easy. So well done, Didi.
Just got to get him on here now.
Right. There you go. A new quest.
Yeah, that leaves us with like 4 spots left, and I already have an idea, but we're still working on it, and I hope within a couple of weeks we get the whole website out, and then it's counting down to the summer.
Quickly counting down to the summer. Yeah, it looks like so we have on Saturday, we have Iru Landucci, Roxanne the Globalist Denier, Jaron Campanella. Then, of course, we have Decimal Z, Zach himself, your newest announcement. Open mic night with Miss Patricia Steer. Awesome. And then a kick-ass comedy set with one Mr. Martin Liedke. That's going to be an awesome Saturday night.
That's a first as well. A lot of people know Martin by his work in history, but not a lot of people have seen him do a little comedy. And that's Martin's big passion. So I'm excited to have him on stage as well. Just a little laughter after a day of serious presentations, you know.
No, it's good to have a bit of letting your hair down time, I think. That should be fun.
I just need a bit of clarity on that. That's right. So, no Friday night in the Amsterdam bar, but it's a party at Didi's tent.
Yeah, something like that. We're
Wait.
gonna have we can do some early registration. We're gonna have some big barbecue or something else where we can get together, and then after that there will be a big ass campfire at the campsite. So
I think we were chatting last week, Didi, talking about it, and I think that's cool actually. People will mingle a lot more, get to know each other, and then sharing Martin's jokes on Saturday night. So that sounds cool. But yeah, I think that'll be better for us to integrate. You know what I
You
mean?
can smoke as well, which you probably can't do in most of the pubs out there now.
And out there.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it?
if anybody has a guitar, bring the guitar for the campfire, because Hero is flying in, so he can bring his, but he loves to play. So I encourage people to bring their guitar.
Or ukulele.
Or ukulele.
Then I see Sunday, we've got Karen B and Paul on the plane, both already lined up. And then you've got your 4 empty slots still waiting to fill. And time quickly approaching. That's going to be an awesome, awesome time to be had by all. That's good stuff right there.
I'm going.
Yeah, we also have a couple of people attending. So the biggest part of this is, of course, the European Globe Light Tour. They will attend first the UK convention. They will drive around in Europe for a couple of weeks and then come to the Amsterdam convention. So Jason and Daryl, they will be the biggest guys. They're doing the whole Globe Light Tour together. So they will stop in Amsterdam and be attending as a guest all weekend. Like Robbie Davidson and, of course, Robin Campbell, the organizer of the UK convention. And then Adam, with your big Iron Rail media stick, you will be hanging around the convention weekend as well.
No, it's not the iron stick anymore. It's been upgraded. It's the iron staff. But yeah, you're right, dude.
Yeah, we still have a couple of people on the list, but already have an idea who that's gonna be. It's just a matter of waiting until they say yes. But like with Zach, I'm gonna keep asking for many months. Eventually it will work out. But we will know within a couple weeks.
Well, I sure wish I could make it. That's going to be exciting. Everybody needs to
need a passport, Corey.
Ooh, yeah, good point. Good point. Well, thank God for Adam Meekin and the Iron Staff, then, because I'm not getting a passport.
How are you looking on that, Zach?
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what is going on up in Michigan in September. That might be right around our last harvest. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Michigan, the winter comes early, so if we're already having frost by then and it's a good haul, we have a nice harvest. And yeah, I'll definitely do whatever I can to get there for sure. Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list for sure.
I've not given up on meeting you yet, mate.
Oh no! Even if that doesn't happen, I'll be trying to come at least to England to see you and Savage sometime here real soon. Yeah, for sure. That's a must. I mean, I'd love to get to the conference if I can, but if not, then Jolly Hole will be
right. That's what I was going to say, Zach, is if we can't somehow figure out a way to get over to the conference, which I'm still working on, man, you and I, at the very least, should pool our resources and head over there and hang out with the crazy Brits.
Take you for a pint there, Walt. Take you for a pint,
I work for tobacco.
I know what to bring, John. I know what to bring.
What a bore.
Cheap. Excluding taxes.
I didn't say how much tobacco.
Oh, sorry to go sideways. Zach, bro. Where are you at now? Because, like, I know I've not spoke to you, mate, in it was like ages, probably about a week and a half. But where are you at now? Because I know you were off on your. I know we need to catch up separately on the Hebrew learning and the
Yeah,
likes,
I've been actually getting really into scriptures lately. I was blessed with a beautiful book that is translated from Hebrew into English without the Greek and then the Latin, and it's straight from Hebrew to English. That Jack and Carolyn blessed me with, and I've been going into it, and I'm already finding stuff that's like, whoa, what's this? Never heard this before. So yeah, we'll definitely get caught up on that. But still in South Carolina. Actually, I'm in Georgia right now, southern Georgia, heading to Florida to go visit. We're going to pick up one of their children who is visiting family down there, and then we're going to stay the night over at A. McKenzie's house. Shout out to Adam and family. And yeah, I'm so excited because Hank gets to see his buddy Bo again.
check the garden.
Every time I say it, his head pops up.
Yeah, you got to
heading to Karen B's next week. Build her a garden. And then I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, man. Josh, I got to be in Michigan by the 15th, so I'm going to bust my butt to get Karen's done as quick as possible. And hopefully I'll have enough time to come and shoot over there and at least hang out for a day. I want to see you, get that hug, and get you your hat at the very least.
Well,
I might have to shoot off. I know, I want you though. There's nothing about feeling like I have to. I want to. You know that.
Well, we would all be terribly disappointed if you didn't make it, but we would absolutely understand.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen before this, the spring up in Michigan, the start of our getting the seeds into the soil, because, the Creator doesn't wait. I mean, we can't plant lettuce in the snow. So you got to do it when the timing's right. But yeah, if I can, I'll get there. If not, it'll definitely be this fall, this winter, sometime like that. Because I plan on going nomad again for the winters, for sure. Because Michigan winters are no fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how well Dixie would take that. She may insist upon coming up north for a little bit just to say hi. So it's cool.
You guys are always more than welcome. Yeah.
You may have to hit up then to come get that hug if you can't bring it. So it's cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's going to be plenty of room to be hanging out. I'm going to be camping most of the time. I got a 12-foot by 16-foot, one of those old, not old, but a garage where they put the plastic over it. And I got rid of the plastic. I'm going to make my own canvas, but it's a nice steel frame. Like, it was made for a carport. And I'm going to build my own canvas tent and put a wood burning stove in there. And that's what I plan on staying in most of the summer. I mean, I have a place I could stay in, but I want to be out there by my plant. I want to,
Mm-hmm.
You should crochet that motherfucker and make it look like a giant Hank's homemade hemp hat.
Yeah, I might. We'll see. I want to sew it at least. I want to buy the canvas myself and sew it up myself. But crocheting it, that would be cool. That'll be something I'm going to be working on maybe. It's a great idea, Adam.
Maybe your window shades you can crochet. Something a little more
real. There you go. Yeah. It'd be a little bit more realistic, yeah. Because it's big. It's like 12 feet tall at the peak, 8 foot tall at the side.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 12 foot wide, and it was 20 feet deep.
And you just load it up in your truck?
Well, no, it breaks down. It's
right.
Like the steel tubing.
Still, I think that tubing would take up a lot of space, even broken down. There'd be a lot of tubing.
Nah, Not too bad. No. It fits with all my other stuff back there. Believe it or not, yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I can't wait to get it back put together. I've only put it together once. One of the pieces was missing, but with the skills that I obtained over the winter, I was able to cut up a couple pieces because it should have been 20 feet deep. I had to take off 4 feet, and I took some of the tubes and cut them up and welded them together and made a corner piece. One of the corner pieces was missing, but you know, you adapt and overcome and improvise, and yeah, it's gonna work.
Fabricator extraordinaire.
Oh yeah, there ain't nothing we can't do. Can't is the only 4-letter word I won't say.
Our buddy Mike D, who hangs out with us over there on TFR in the mornings, shout out. He just said he wants to see Zach's Bushcraft channel. So I think I know your next. That sounds like the new channel for you, showing everybody how you do this stuff all the time.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of videos coming from Michigan once I get up there of everything we're gonna be doing. And yeah, I'll keep putting them out as long as I'm. That's Jack's daughter. She's so cute. 4 years
awesome.
old.
Oh, full of energy.
Yeah.
Life. That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of fun. But yeah, I'll keep putting out stuff, and I like that bushcraft. I might have to. Yeah, I'm gonna borrow that, Mike. Thank you.
I like it. I like it.
Well, sweet, Didi. What else you got for us? Anything? What's pressing? Would you say, damn it, I got to make sure I tell everybody out there that watches IRM this? What was it? Something? Anything? What do you got?
I would like all of you guys to get together in Amsterdam the last weekend of September, so we can have some fun together instead of doing this hangout. We can just
person to person.
Right?
That would be amazing.
It would be.
One day, DD, the hug is going to happen. I promise. One day soon.
Oh, they're nice hugs, Walt, too. Believe me. A lot of energy coming from those hugs.
I'm just going to need to start playing the lottery, I guess.
There we go.
Well,
yeah, you don't need the lottery. Just take that first step. I'm telling you, man. Things tend to work out. It's wild.
Yeah, that's probably the final thing I want to say, because like Zach said, you have to take some steps and just live and do something, you know. So I got an opportunity in my personal life to get the job of my dreams. So I decided that for me, this is the last convention I will be organizing.
Well, that's sad to hear, but I'm glad to hear you've taken some major step. Do you mind sharing that with us, or is that going to be a surprise for later?
Well, I can't say where I'm going to work because, you know, Flat Earth is bringing a lot of difficulties in many people's lives.
Understandable. Understandable, absolutely understandable. Well, just lots of congratulations and love, and please stay in touch once that does happen.
I will still be listening to all the shows and be in chat. I'm just not going to be investing so much time and energy in organizing meetups and conventions, because I've been doing a lot of meetups and all these things and going to the experiments. And I went to 2 conventions or 3 conventions in the US right now. I think 2. So I've been all over the place. I had a lot of fun. I'm always gonna be a flat earther, but I'm gonna take a little step back. But Amsterdam for me is like a goodbye party. So I'm hoping a lot of people will come and celebrate with me.
Well, that's a reason for people to go sign up right now if I ever heard one.
Damn straight. You just added a whole new impetus to me wanting to get there this time around. So, damn it. I guess I'm going to get that GoFundMe up after all.
Nice guilt trip, Didi. Get him there.
I might be at the next one.
I just want to wish you all the best, Didi, and thanks for everything you have done for us all. Good luck.
Yeah, I'll second that as well.
Your dream job, mate. That's not working.
Yeah, so I'll be moving in 4 months, and that's just before the convention. So it's going to be a lot of very busy times for me the next couple of months. But I'm still going to catch up with you guys once in a while and give you the newest speaker, because we're not there yet. It's just a little more excited left. And then once the whole list is up and going, then it's going to be a race to the clock the last 2-3 months. And then before you know it, the weekend is over and for me, life will change, but it's gonna be a blast. I had so many great times with all of you guys. I met people who became family, so it's never gonna change. It's just gonna be a little bit of different. But I'm hoping everybody will celebrate. So the last weekend of September, go to feconvention.com and you will find all the information, and we'll keep in touch.
And hats off to you, Didi, being able to get your dream job, land it, and uproot your whole life and just completely set off on a whole new adventure. And that the job itself, I think, is going to be really fulfilling as well. So congratulations. That's really exciting.
Thank you guys for all the support. And, you know, I've changed the last couple of years because of Flat Earth. I became a lot better person, and doors are opening. Just believe in it, believe in yourself, live every day and be excited and happy, and good things happen. It's great. I'm very excited.
Well, thank you so much, Didi. You're more than welcome to stick around and hang out, but I know it's late there where you are. I know you are busy, been putting in a lot of hours at your jobs now. So if you want to go ahead and bow out, I totally understand. Otherwise, it's awesome. Awesome to hear that you got your dream job. Sucks that you're not going to be able to put together any more of these conventions, but the last one ought to be huge. So everybody needs to sign up, get out there, get your tickets, and go say hello and goodbye to Didi, because we will miss her terribly. Thank you so much.
We love you, Didi.
Thank you, guys. I'll be listening a little bit because Cami's my favorite thing. You know, I love her, so I want to be here and listen to what she has to say. But I probably disappear quietly and go to bed somewhere in the show because it's gonna be a long show, I guess.
Yeah, they typically are, especially when whenever we have a chance to talk to Cami.
Didi, I am so happy for you. Congratulations. I know where you're going to be working or what you're going to be doing, and it's perfect for you. It's called actually living, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so all of my love to you. Just the biggest congratulations. And even though people have to step in for you with the convention putting together, and it's big shoes to fill, what you're doing is something that is really living. So much love.
Thank you, Cami. I love you too. You know, a big, massive hug.
But those shoes that would be filled, those shoes that would be filled are terribly huge, to the point that there may not be anybody willing to step in and fill them completely, which I think is why everybody needs to hurry up and get their tickets and get their flights and transportation and everything lined up to get out there, so that we can actually say goodbye. Because odds are there won't be another one, at least not in the way that they've been the last couple times. So if you really want to get the full effect and be able to get out there and get that Didi hug, then I suggest you guys get your tickets now. So with that, let's head over to say hello to Miss Cami Knodel. We've had Cami here the last couple weeks in a row, which has just been an absolute pleasure. I have enjoyed every minute of it, just opening my eyes to all sorts of new stuff. And I don't think this week's going to be any different. So hello, Cami. How you doing? How's your week been?
Oh, it's been a busy, hectic week. We've had all kinds of wonderful things going on. Things with our son in school and family events, and we've had snow, and now it's warm today, and the whole mix. It's been a great week.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. So I think first off, Adam suggested that we play my appearance on the radio that I happened to make this week. So I think we're going to knock that out first, and then we're going to jump right in. But before we play it, what are we going to get into this week with you, Cami?
Okay, what we're doing today is as I was explaining and doing the pieces and that with everybody, I realized that, and it's fair, that I've been working on this for 4 years, and I've been putting all of the pieces together, and I sit on each idea, and I might think about it for months and ponder it and that. And I'm covering it in a few sentences and jumping around. And what we really needed to do is, even though I'm not an artist, is make some type of a visual grid and a list out of all the pieces that we're putting together, so that when we go in and are doing different things, we see how it fits in with the model. Now, last night I was up until 3 something, maybe 4 in the morning. I'm so artistically challenged that I am doing this in a Word document, but I'm hoping that in this Word document, you guys saw, I put in the chat, I put in like a little bitty preview of it. I filled in a lot more, and I could present it pretty, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually, what I've been doing in the background is filling out and doing little detail work on it. I have a lot of descriptions in that to fill out, you know, for instance, the high heavens, I'm missing Shambhala, things that people maybe in the group or people in the chat could think of. And so while I'm putting together the grid, so when we do pieces, we can go to the grid and look at them. Today, what we're doing is we're making the grid or the diagram of it. So I can even share a screen now and give people like
You there, Adam?
brief look, or why don't
Hello?
you do your thing, and when you come back, we'll bring it on there. In the meantime, I'm doing a little clip art and adding as we're going. A lot more to do on it, but we can get through like why we're doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I'm really going to dig that. Hey, Zach, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, guys. I switched back over. No, somebody called, and I don't even know how to work my phone. I put you on hold, and I didn't know what was going on. Now, I don't know. But yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Just tell Adam we said hi. I wasn't sure exactly which Adam to which Adam.
Right? That was confusing for me as well.
Yeah, no, Mr. McKenzie called, and I was like, hello, can you hear me? And he wouldn't say, I think he might have butt dialed me. I don't know how to turn hold off on my phone. I have no idea. These things are I'm trying to get away from all this nonsense. But yeah, sorry about that.
Nope, no worries. Well, I reckon I ought to just jump right in and play this. I guess.
Get out of here! Stop it! You can't into.
All right, thanks. I don't want to anyway. So somebody else.
No, you can't do that. Right. So I think probably Walt could eulogize a little bit as how Josh has got back to where we are.
Well, you know, I actually was thinking it through, and I know it all happened at the roughly same time. Excuse me, I dropped the cradle. Sorry. It all happened at roughly the same time that as the guys who became Iron Realm Media were all meeting on Twitter a lot, trying to figure this whole idea out. We met Adam kind of late in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh also a bit in the mix, as he actually was going as a caller first to this show, the Dave Glover show. They were talking about Flat Earth. I can't remember if somebody shared that with us, if it came through just in the general Twitter verse. Maybe he shared it on Twitter and that's how we found it. I don't remember, Josh, that one detail, but it was all about that first call and how awesome you handled it. And then as we invited you into the group and got you in the team, they invited you over there to, at that time, wasn't it a Fox affiliate? Is it still a Fox affiliate? That was one thing I couldn't get at the site. I'm guessing not, since I didn't see that.
No, it is still a Fox affiliate. For some reason, they've sort of migrated their whole website over to radio.com's website. So it's all being hosted through radio.com, which is not very good.
Sorry, it's from anyway, I can't imagine why they would distance themselves from Fox. Anyway, it was great. Amazing run you had there. The topics you touched, and oh my goodness, the things that you got away with covering on that show were amazing. And again, that was all happening as we were trying to figure out how to get all this madness off the ground. So it was a great thing to watch happen at the same time. And then as a Christmas present, I suppose, good old hot button topic. I'm not going to say the J word, but you know it. Oh my goodness. Anyway,
there was a restaurant in Washington, D.C. that was alleged to have had some secret tunnels in a basement even. And the owner of the restaurant was denying all of this. But for some reason, this lowly little pizza restaurant owner happens to rank among like the top 10 most influential people in all of Washington, D.C. And there was a whole bunch of,
I still have the link to Friends of Comet Pizza, and it's some twisted, sick fucking shit. End of fucking story. Sorry.
There you go. I was trying to skirt my way around it.
Oh, did I say a bad word?
I don't think it's bad at this point. I think they've
Are they going to shut us down?
Well, once they sent or somebody decided to take it upon themselves to carry a rifle into the actual pizza restaurant because of the stuff that they're reading on the internet. Things got clamped down real quick. That, I think, was really the start of that hashtag modern day book burning. Once there was that actionable sort of threat of an active shooter based on stories from the internet and things that the mainstream media was actively denying, regardless of what evidence was out there, that the official story was the denial. So anybody that was acting in against that official story was now considered to be potentially dangerous. And we see that playing out even more now. Sorry,
Josh, am I right in thinking that that shooter let off one shot and it happened to go through the hard drive at the pizza restaurant?
The one shot sounds really familiar. If the effing odds that it happened to completely destroy the entire hard drive, well, then that puts a whole new slant on it, doesn't it?
Wow, that might be something I haven't heard. No, I'm gonna have to dig into that one, John. I can't believe I missed that. That's amazing. Oh, that's great.
These magic bullets, they're pretty cool over there, aren't they?
Yeah, well, thank God nobody was hurt. You callous bastard.
Right? Being questioned on the air about who might, want to do such twisted things as this, Josh, gave the typical truth or answer that we all
historically. He asked historically who would do this type of thing.
I forgot about the historical bent. Yes, that does add a nice twist.
Had he said, well, who do they think is doing it here at Comet Pizza, that would have been a probably slightly different answer. Maybe not a whole lot, but slightly different. Dual citizenship, that whole conversation, but slightly different answer. But yeah, so once we got into Europeans coming from Khazaria and taking up the mantle of being Jewish and the Ashkenazi whole bent on it. Got a couple callers. I got called anti-Semitic, and it was a whole thing. It was really just before their holiday break. So that was about 18 months ago for Paranormal Tuesday, and the Pizzagate story and all that stuff was pretty hot at the time. And really, I didn't expect to get called back at all. Every time I went in and did an appearance, I would account for that being my last time, just because I would never expect them to keep inviting me back, essentially. So every time I just took it as my last. So when the topic approached, I knew it was going to be a hot button topic, and I tried really hard to be delicate and tiptoe and I thought I did a really good job.
Great. It was, I think it wasn't until that caller that just went off, and it got kind of not on your part, but on the rest of the crew's part, just it spun out into the usual knee-jerk bullshit that they've got set in place for that discussion that can't be taken. You can't have that discussion.
Nope. Once you catch a whiff of that, once you even catch a whiff of that, then you just have to completely nip it in the bud. I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe that's why they can't broadcast in the UK. Who the fuck knows?
Interesting. I didn't even put that together, Josh, until you said that.
But that was on a whole different platform. It was owned by a whole different parent company. Since then, they've been bought out, migrated the website over to radio.com. Those podcasts, I'm not even sure are available online anymore, except for the few that I've got up on our channel. And then everything else, I think, is just backed up on my hard drive, as far as I know. Probably, I'm sure Dave Glover has his copies, but I think for public access, I don't think they're really out there. Like that Jew one, I don't think, I haven't released it yet. I know I've still got it on my hard drive, but I don't think it's out there. I don't think I put that one out yet. Because I was on there maybe 16, 17 times. I was trying to count back and counting the phone call, the first call in. It was, I think, maybe 16 or 17 appearances, which I thought was really good. I really enjoyed going in studio, but that was 18 months ago. So even in the days leading up, I could feel the butterflies churning in my stomach every time I think about having to go back into the radio station and talk on the air to a couple 100,000 people here in St. Louis. But,
well, I'll tell you what, Josh, it didn't show in your voice at all your answers, or your composure, or anything. I think you handled yourself like a diplomat.
I think if you listen, you'll be able to hear me trying not to hyperventilate. where I just seem to get my breathing.
At one
rhythm
point,
down.
I thought he's either thirsty or somebody's distracting him. That's what I thought, is like there were so many people in the studio that was just, a distraction, had your mind off somewhere. One point, I remember thinking that at one point when I was making the video. Speaking of this video, I thought you were just playing the audio. The video I put together just to throw up, I was so tired of trying to put together static images behind some audio. I was trying to think of an awesome video source just to play that was copyright free and blah, blah, blah. And then I remembered Norb told us, remix his shit at will, get it out there as long as you credit it. So shout out to Norb's channel. It'll be linked, down in the description as well. Norb, Martin Kenny, that whole thing. So that'll be mostly what you'll see behind here after the little Ironworks intro video there.
Yeah, it pretty well just jumps right in. So I guess I'll go ahead and press play. And
before you do,
turn off my audio. Yeah, go ahead.
There's just no. I know how well you. Really impressed. Thought it was really cool. But in the spirit of, we've got a Knodel in this evening. So in the spirit of the criticism that the Knodels will receive, feel free, chat, to please pick apart any minor word slip that Mr. Corey makes. But
there's lots of them. I believe me, I've done nothing but hyper focus on them in my brain since I've been here. So feel free.
I heard you. I heard you catch yourself a couple of times. Mate,
I did too, and I also heard, was it Tony that said across like 3 different times? So I said it is a Missouri thing.
The one that sticks out for me is just the word dome.
Dome. But I think, and there was a point to that. I think, as you said, that maybe they'll invite me back, and I think there is, Josh, because as good as your radio DJ skills are, and you are the daddy here, and I think that showed on air. Your composure was fantastic, but outside of that, and that's maybe why they've invited you back, I think the reason that the topic has come back after 18 months is nothing to do with you. It's to do with the sheer public interest in the subject. And I think after 18 months, quite interesting to see the level of input that you feel is different. And hopefully, as we get a few more shows.
I think they missed the ratings, mate, because your shows, well, how did the ratings go on this one?
I have no idea. I think because my Pizzagate episode, again, was right at the beginning of their holiday break. So after that, I didn't hear from them. Weren't doing their Paranormal Tuesday. So I wasn't expecting to hear from them, as my segment wasn't being run for the holidays. Then the holidays were over, and I just kind of put it out there, said, hey, I'm still available type stuff, but there was no response. And then there was still no Paranormal Tuesday. And there's just been no more Paranormal Tuesday for the last 18 months.
You broke it, John. You broke it. So, I mean, not to understate this is probably one of the biggest, what is it, prime time St. Louis radio stations. How far does it go out? You said a couple of 100,000 people?
Yeah, a couple 100,000 people, I think, is their average listening audience. For the drive time, which is a pretty prime slot in radio, that Dave Glover is the #1 most listened to DJ in St. Louis in that drive time slot.
Big market too. So yeah, that's nice, brother.
And yeah, he said himself, didn't he, that the Dave Glover Show listeners love nothing else but something and flat Earth, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and since they came back, they started it as Paranormal Wednesday, but the first 2 episodes, I think they had on a local pet psychic. And I think there might have been just a couple little posts about, this was pretty, anticlimactic, not much of a Paranormal Wednesday show type thing. So I think they've been, at least at the response in social media, has been pretty lackluster. I think with the exception of this past Wednesday. And
you came on, and then the the boards lit up, the Twitter lit up, everything. You breathed fire back into it, mate. Nice one. But
I think so. Hopefully they'll have me back on. I'll be able to get a little more. There's so much information that I wanted to get out there that's been happening the last 18 months. And then, of course, it's just right back to Flat Earth 101. Well, what's your model? Piss. All right, well, let's do this again, I guess. But what can I expect? It's sheeple. This is your basic public, John Q public out there. And still a lot of people are hearing this for the first time, believe it or not. I know it seems like as saturated as we've got it, but there's still a lot of people who are unaware of the fact that there's people that think the earth is flat. And this was another good introduction.
DGS 2 minutes past 5 p.m. At the start of the show, we had 100 tickets left for DGS 5. It's less than that because Columbo had to go buy 10 of them.
Yep.
So it'll be even less than that. These will be gone in just by the end of the week. So if you want to go see DGS 5 at the beautiful, gorgeous, big stained glass window, Sheldon downtown next to the Fox, go to 971talk.com/DGS Live. And if you can't make it, go to Facebook and watch Taliban try to do a handstand. It's my favorite thing to happen all day. And my daughter won a major award, and this blows it away. And then someone very cleverly said, can you do a somersault? So in the second half of this hour, we're going to tape it and Facebook Live it and see if you can indeed do a somersault.
He said that it would hurt.
That was exactly his
yes. I'm not sure
That's
why.
not a no.
It would hurt.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not a no.
Yeah.
That's true.
Remember when we were kids, we had that president's fitness
presidential
test?
fitness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would just write down, it would hurt. Like on every, how far can you broad jump? It would hurt.
It would hurt.
I'm not going to lie to you. Paranormal Wednesday, Josh Corey. We met Josh 3 years ago.
Oh, it's
maybe
getting
more.
close to that, something like that, yeah.
And I think I'd heard of Flat Earth, but I'd never looked at it. And it came up on the show, and the phone rang, and it was Josh. And then he did tons of Paranormal Tuesdays with us. So Tony's crazy in. 3%, right?
I am 3%.
3% believe.
3% of me believes that the Earth is flat. That is a.
Did you watch the movie yet, Rach?
Fact.
I started watching it and then I couldn't get into it.
Okay, I got way into it because I hated the main guy so much. What's his name?
Mark.
Was it KMOX?
Yes.
Mark Sargent call in.
Oh,
Mark
did he
Sargent,
really?
Yeah.
So
You hate Mark Sargent.
I do.
There's a lot of
but I love the topic. I really
do
truly
too.
love the topic.
I do too.
If I could have my choice, I want a flat Earth. I
Okay.
want Bigfoot. I want aliens. I want vampires, and I want a flat Earth. But I just can't get there.
So right. So when we discussed this for the first time ever with Sue in the room, which was just a couple weeks ago, Sue was asking all the questions like, how does the sun work and the moon and the stars and all that? So can you just start with like a
101
Flat Earth basic.
yeah,
Flat Earth
description
basic.
of the flat Earth model?
Yeah, I think I could probably do that. Well, first off, there's not a model per se.
There's a few different versions of it, right?
Everybody's got a really cool idea of what
So-
it could be.
Your best guess from your research of how it is.
So this is what they call an azimuthal equidistant projection.
Yes, Sue.
Well, if you're hammered,
Yeah, Sue.
Oh,
How you gonna
okay.
argue that? How
Yeah.
you gonna argue that, Sue?
So far, I can't.
going to jump right in. Well, if you're at a ham radio operator, basically it just means if you look out straight in front of you in 360 degrees, then that's going to be your azimuth is just that straightforward projection. And then it just goes 360 degrees around. So that's what an azimuthal projection is, an equidistant, because it's all equally distant around. So if you put North Pole in the middle and you have all the continents spread out around, and then the South Pole is a ring of ice. Well, at least at the beginning, what's beyond that ice, hard to say. Most people, anybody who's ever gone there, goes to the ice and then bounces off and goes somewhere else. And that's how they, quote, cross Antarctica.
There you go, Sue.
But essentially, yeah, it's an azimuthal equidistant map. North Pole in the middle, South Pole is a ring on the outside. If you want to look up the United Nations, check out their map and their logo. That is an azimuthal equidistant projection with North Pole in the middle.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, the very basic things. The curvature of the Earth.
Yep.
Okay. And like on that movie, when they sent the boat out and like, okay,
The stripes.
once it went down, the stripes and the laser, where the laser didn't work either. That just seems to be not just accepted science, but also our experience. Like I've seen the curvature of the Earth, like
Where?
in airplanes and such.
Negative. 35,000 feet. A lot of people say we've seen it from an airplane.
A few years ago, there's a guy named Felix Baumgartner jumped out of a balloon at a high altitude. It was a Red Bull space jump.
Right, 100,000 feet.
It's 127,000 feet, actually. And if you look at the pictures, you can see planet Nevada right below him. That perfect sphere, the curvature of the Earth at 127,000 feet. Now, there's a guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was asked about this same jump, and he'll tell you, he said specifically, from that altitude, we are too small. If it's a beach ball, say the edge of space is like a ½ inch above it, where Felix jumped was 2 millimeters above that beach ball Earth. So there is no way he was at the edge of space, because at 127,000 feet, that stuff is flat. And that's his quote. That stuff is flat at 127,000 feet. And that's just from your basic.
So we think we've seen the curvature, but we haven't.
Correct.
What about the test like the water, the boat in the water, and more importantly, the laser?
Ooh. Yeah, see, this is where it gets really interesting in how light works when it passes through a lens, whether that lens is your eyeball, whether that lens is a camera, whether that lens is a telescope. Things will always consistently, necessarily disappear from the bottom up. Flat plane, spherical Earth, doesn't matter. Because of the way that light enters your eye, once it gets to the edge of your horizon, the horizon as far as you can see, the light between the object and the horizon will just start to merge, and that object will disappear from the bottom up until you just can't see it anymore. Put a camera on a table and roll a coin across the table and watch what that coin does. That coin will disappear from the bottom up. Doesn't mean the table's a ball or even a spherical curvature. That's just the way light works.
So the big question, why? Why the conspiracy? Like, who gains?
Well, you can't even say it's necessarily so much as a huge conspiracy where everyone is lying. Your basic university professor, I don't think, is lying. I don't think they've never even thought to question it.
They're teaching what they were taught.
Exactly.
And what about the astronauts? So they're lying. They're flat out lying.
Well, we can sort of show that. We can show them in the ISS where they're green screening out the harnesses, where they'll start to flip around because they're on a harness. So one of the other astronauts will grab the wire to keep them from coming out of frame and pull them back in. But then the wire has been green screened out, so you can't see it. They'll be playing with tools, and a tool will fall and land on the ground.
So I get why a college professor wouldn't know, but why isn't and doesn't realize they're lying? Why? What's in it for NASA to lie?
What's in it for NASA? On a daily basis, $50 million. Every single day, 365 days a year, this year alone.
So they just want to keep the business going.
$50 million.
Because they're out of business if there is no space as we know it, and there's no globe, Earth, NASA's out of business, and so is all their funding.
Yep, but that sky is just a fractal where you can zoom infinitely on whatever is up there, the lights in the sky. If it's a fractal nature and you can just keep zooming, and there's no way to ever prove a distance.
Do you think it started as a belief, like NASA, and when they went into it, they went into it for all the right, honest reasons, that they really thought it was a globe, and we're going to get, but then once they realized they were wrong, they went, okay, we were wrong, but we're not ready to admit it, so we're just going to keep this going? Or was it all started as a conspiracy?
You could probably find some pretty good evidence to say it was started as a conspiracy. Even Universal Pictures, I think from Jump Street, had a globe as their logo for their intros in any of their movies. Long before anybody could have made it to space to see what the actual shape is, they just assumed it was a ball, which is the whole pretense for this entire heliocentric model, is the assumption first that it's a ball, and then you just make the math work after that.
So all of us can see the moon with our naked eye, and if you just get a dime store telescope, you can really see the features on the moon. What's your best guess, if you don't believe that it's another sphere that orbits the Earth? What do you think that is?
Oh, so my best guess, as far as, I don't have any idea, but let's just pull something out of my rear end. I would have to say it's holographic in nature. What we're seeing isn't necessarily there in the sky. So there's an apparent moon and an actual moon. What we see is an apparent moon. Same with the sun. We see an apparent sun in the sky, but it's not necessarily the actual sun that we see. This actual sun would be somewhere else. That's like a straw. You put a straw in water, and the water diffracts the straw, and you can see it bend. The straw is not actually there where you're seeing it. The light has been bent on it somewhere else. You have an apparent straw and an actual straw. I think it's the same thing with the sun and the moon.
But
Okay. So would we have been able to see the actual sun and moon in the past and then they've been replaced by the apparent ones? Because that seems like that would take a lot of technology to project that into the sky.
No, it wouldn't. You can do it analog. It's called a miroscope. Imagine like a dish, like a satellite dish.
But don't we have pretty good evidence just from literature that for thousands of years we've been documenting the movement of the sun and the moon and the earth?
It would be weird if it just appeared out of nowhere.
Just take a look at all those civilizations in the past that thought the earth was flat and we were covered. It worked out the cosmology and the lights in the sky. Yeah, we've done it.
That's what they believe.
Yeah, it was originally a flat earth. People thought it was flat. They saw it flat. They calculated it flat.
How long was it? How long ago was it that pretty much everyone believed it was a flat earth? Because I always somehow link it to Columbus.
Well, because that's probably what a lot of people are taught in school. That's why in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and he proved that the earth it was a ball, which of course isn't true. They will say that there were people out there that thought the earth was a flat disk in space and they had to go prove them wrong. And that was the basis of sort of why he did that and then sort of found the new world. I guess maybe finding it was the original basis, but just proving that it's a sphere was secondary.
If you have a question for Josh, 314-241-9797, or you can tweet us and we'll get your question on.
And it's a whole lot of not necessarily what we can prove, because when you start digging into science and learn that science is a tool and not everything is a nail, if science is a hammer, you can't just go banging around everything with science. So you learn you can't scientifically prove the shape of the earth. You can't scientifically prove gravity. You can't prove it's round. You can't prove it's flat, but we can observe it flat. It's observably flat. Everything else has just been conditioned for you to believe otherwise.
Quick break, right back. Paranormal Wednesday. Man, we are going to have a party on the 23rd. We're now down to 50 tickets left. We sold half of them out. 50 tickets left for DGS 5. Did you literally, Tony, did you buy your tickets?
No, I really need to go do that, like right now.
You might want to just walk out. 971talk.com. If you've been sort of, leading off first base, am I going to go? Am I not? It's a holiday weekend. Buy your tickets. They're $25. If you can't go, you give them to a friend, sell them.
Yeah.
I'll help you sell
to me.
them. Tony, 971talk.com/DGS Live. Josh Corey is here. Let me tell you, DGS listeners love DGS Live and Flat Earth.
Heck
Love it. Twitter exploding,
Yes.
phone calls coming in like crazy. I could say, wow, look at this. Ronald Reagan's corpse was reanimated and raped. I don't care. But Flat Earth, people just come out of the woodwork. Okay, you got a good one to start with?
I got good tweets. So Michael says, and maybe you can even explain what this is, the Coriolis effect. Is he says that is something you can experience. Ask any shooter. It pretty much proves that we're on a spinning ball.
Yeah.
Well, I would first question how he defines experience, the Coriolis effect. So basically, the Coriolis effect is what the term is an apparent effect from the motion of the earth in regards to, say, a sniper. A sniper has to take into account, say, distance and the windage. One of the things they say he has to account for is the spin of the earth because of the length of the time the bullet is in the air. And because the stationary target, from where he's aiming, you have to take into account where he is located and the speed of the spin of the earth at his location and the speed of the spin of the earth at the target's location. And then you have to take into account the spin of that earth as your bullet travels to get to that destination. So you have to take that into account. Is basically what the Coriolis effect is. I don't know. I've talked to snipers. I've definitely seen some of the guidebooks, seen some of the training manuals that talk about it. I've never spoken to the snipers that I've spoken with. I've never met one that actually, in the midst of shooting, accounted for the Coriolis effect. Never actually had to do it.
Brad, you're up first. Go ahead.
All right.
Hey, man.
Yes. Okay. Does this guy know anything about global satellite mapping?
Yes.
Does he know anything about global satellite positioning?
Yes.
Does he know anything about how NASA had to put different radio trackers all around the globe, not just in North America? And this guy just said that we cannot scientifically map out the globe. Dude, they did this in the 60s with early deals with global satellite mapping deals that wasn't even made public until the 1980s, where the America was general public. I used to work in the military, in intelligence and special forces. I know everything there is to know about global satellite mapping. This guy is, I don't know what kind of drugs he's on, David. Get him off the air.
So, can you explain to the listeners about the Loran system and how that might actually tie into the GPS?
He's gone. Sorry.
Oh, crap. Well, the Loran system.
He did not like you.
Yeah,
and he referred to me in my meme name.
Your Christian name.
If you'd have said David Allen, I'd have went running.
David Glover, you get this
David
man
Allen Glover, you get Josh Corey off the air. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
So go on. So in general, we all now have phones that tell us exactly where we are.
Again, this is the whole thing. You can totally take and put it on an azimuthal equidistant map. If you start out with a flat Earth, you can map it on a globe. If you assume that what you put out there was going to be on a globe, and that's how you build your mathematical model, guess what? At the end of that, because you assumed it as a globe at the beginning, guess how it's going to look at the end? It's going to look like that globe that you assumed to begin with. Same thing with GPS. The Loran system was a land-based navigation system, sort of communication system that was well before GPS that they were using.
Sue, you okay over there?
No.
You have questions?
I'm doing fine.
All right.
So if I go in a plane and fly around the world, you're saying that I'm going to run into the ice ring, right? And then I'll bounce back.
Only if you go south.
Only if I go south.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you can go south and not run into Antarctica, I would love to find out.
Which you would do on a globe too. If you go due south, you're going to run into ice.
Yep. Now,
from anywhere.
What you need to do is fly across it. Fly across Antarctica. So if you could be the first person in human history
Please do.
to
Okay.
fly across
leave
Antarctica,
now.
then we could prove the ball.
I gotcha. So the satellites that we all have and all the shots that we've seen from
you have a
satellites.
satellite?
I was going to say, I don't have a satellite.
Well,
Where do we
okay,
get those?
let's say
Obama phone.
just even, any photo you've seen from a satellite of all the round planets and they're clearly spherical.
Yes.
The moon,
Maybe not
all of
clearly.
those. So all of those are faked too.
I wouldn't say clearly spherical, but there are definitely lights in the sky. If you've ever played billiards,
Yes.
you ever seen the shape of those balls?
Uh-huh.
Spherical, right?
Mhm.
So if the balls are spherical, that must mean the table is too, right?
What?
If the balls are spherical, then the table must be too.
Why?
Why indeed? So if what we see above us is spherical, why would you assume that what we're standing on
I'm
is spherical?
talking about like science sending up a satellite and showing us a satellite image of actual spherical planets and moons. So you're saying that none of that is true.
But I think,
The
Josh,
satellites that they're sending up, not true. Space, not true. Lights in the sky that you see, absolutely true.
Oh, so space isn't true either. Okay.
Correct. No infinite vacuum of space. We're breathing, so we can prove that there's no vacuum of space.
Okay.
But that we're not connected. There's a dome. There's a barrier. Because we have air pressure, there's got to be a container.
But when you say that just because the heavenly bodies may be spherical, that doesn't mean that we are. But just syllogistic logic would suggest that if all of these appear to be spherical, then why would we be so special to be flat?
How much life have we found on those other spherical lights in the sky?
So maybe life only develops in flat.
Well, again, if there's no life up there, then there must not be life here, and this is all just a dream.
What would be the definitive proof for you?
I don't think he meant that.
That is that like you just said, if somebody could fly across Antarctica,
that would be definitive proof.
That would be definitive proof
for me. Yeah.
Or a
Why haven't we been?
Yeah,
I thought we
why haven't
did it
we?
all the time.
You think, right? Yeah.
We don't?
It's a great question.
Can we go back to the South Pole? Were you saying that the South Pole
He's
is
gonna
a
be
ring
snarky.
around the?
Yes.
Okay. I was just making sure.
So that way, because when people say like, just set your compass due west and go, and if you don't fall off the edge, then you've proven that it's not. I get
right
how it works on this map. That that would work, and you would.
Tony,
still
what's
get
your
to
thing
it.
about the airlines in general?
That's my number one thing. That when I was looking into this obsessively, when you learn that all of the flight patterns, especially the ones in the southern hemisphere, don't appear to go from point A to point B in the shortest distance, unless you look at it from that whatever word you use when you talk about that map. That until you put the flat Earth map down, it doesn't look like they're going from point A to point B in the shortest ways that they could on all these flight patterns from all these different airlines, and nobody's ever answered that one. That's the one thing that I always get hung up on. It's like, why are these planes not going what looks like the shortest route? Why are they doing this zigzag stuff? It would be where they appear to be using so much more fuel and time. So that's the one that, and nobody can ever. I've never seen anybody.
You know what I think is going to happen? I'm going to tune into like the Riz show tomorrow morning, and they're going to have on Tony Colombo, Flat Earther.
No, listen, that's day one. That's day one. That's the one I can. That they always get me on.
If there's an airline pilot out there or someone like an aircraft controller that could answer that for us, Taliban, would you try to get them on?
Yeah.
Hello, Joe. Go right ahead.
All right. First off, my kids hate me because I do believe in everything this guy's saying. However, where I get really tripped up, a lot of these flat Earth people have this weird conspiracy that Australia doesn't exist. And that's the one where I'm like, okay, now I might be crazy. If I'm believing in all this stuff, do I believe in that too? I want to get his take on that.
Where did NXS come from?
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for that, Joe. That's really cool. I actually wanted to talk about this because of that and something else about flat earthers planning a cruise to the edge or something else like that. Even flat Earth is not immune to fake news. Because people want so desperately to make fun of flat Earth, they literally have to start making things up. Like, well, flat earthers just don't believe that Australia exists. Well, flat earthers are actually planning a cruise to the edge to prove that the Earth is flat, none of which is happening.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't we what?
Take a cruise to the edge.
To Antarctica? I mean, we can.
Just to the edge.
It
Any of
costs
them,
a
right?
lot
Isn't it all the way around us?
Well, we can. It costs a lot of money to go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
It totally does. But you're going to be totally controlled. You don't get to just go to Antarctica and explore.
Yeah.
You're guided. You're led. There's so many rules.
That's another thing.
The Antarctic Treaty.
That's another thing that I always get hung up on.
The Antarctic Treaty that's been signed by every
Wait a minute.
single
Why do we have to go to Antarctica? I thought you said the whole thing is surrounded by ice.
Because if you could go across, if you could get across, if you could do the other side, then you would prove him wrong.
Because flat Earth theory in Antarctica
All you have to
surrounds us on a
Oh,
ring.
I get you.
All you have to do is get to Antarctica and go across it, and it would prove the flat Earth wrong. But he's right about that. It's the only thing that every government on the planet has agreed on, that you can't just go to Antarctica and go across it. You have to get permission from governments to go to. Why is that?
That's a little weird. That territorial rather than?
Well, I mean,
but why did
it has been divided? But there's not really. It's just a
Name me
99-year treaty.
Show
that
me
they've
one
signed.
other thing that every government agrees on. It's just weird.
I have a question from Facebook before we go to break. So Tim from Facebook asked, how do we explain the length or shortness of daylight in Alaska if the Earth is flat?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is good because that's in the north. That's right there. So if you imagine that the sun and the moon, again, we have no idea. We're working on trying to map some of this out, just using people tracking the sun and the moon. But if you imagine the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn being the limits, and as the sun goes around the Earth, it moves from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn, and that sort of will help give seasons and the different temperatures. So there's just different ways, the times, the speeds, and the locations of the sun. I think it's an elliptical orbit, not a perfectly round orbit. I mean, there's lots of things that we're still looking at. A lot of very smart
When we come back, I have Shane, who is a pilot who can answer Tony's questions, and I want Josh to tell me what he thinks is on the bottom of the flat Earth. Quick break, right back. So I went to law school, and here's what I've done with my degree. Just now, I had a real conversation with Rachel, and she said, hey, are we going to make Taliban do a somersault? Because I don't know if we can fit it in. And Tony's laughing. He goes, yeah, let's put the flat Earth on hold so Taliban can do a somersault. This is my job. This is what I do for a living.
Prioritizing.
God, that's fun.
Yeah.
And then Rach said, well, let's just do it tomorrow. And then she said, kiddingly, he'll have time to practice. I'm like, no, I don't want him to practice. She's like, Dave, he's not going to go home and practice. This is Andrew we're talking about.
He's going to think about doing it a bunch. and
even
then he's
if
going to forget.
He's going to stare at the carpet.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh Corey is here, back with us. He's been on for years and years, believes in the flat Earth. Shane is an airline pilot. Shane, go ahead.
Hey, afternoon, guys. Can I just first say that I love listening to you guys on my way home. You all are hilarious. It sounds like you have such a great time at work.
Well, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you keeping us safe in the air.
Thank you. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. So, so to answer Tony's question, why planes don't seem to travel in a straight line from point to point, it's called Great Circle Route steering. And it's actually one of the things that actually proves that the Earth is round. So for example, if I'm flying from Northern California to England, which I've done before, on one leg, you'll notice that you go actually really far north. If you were to look on it on a globe and draw a straight line from California to England, you will actually fly really, really far north in order to get there. It's not a straight line, and that actually is the shortest point between shortest route between 2 points. Is basically in an arc, and you'll see that ships at sea do great circle route steering
Can you repeat that?
in the ocean as well.
Shane, can you say that the last part one more time? You cut out there.
Oh yeah, sorry. So the ships at sea also do the same thing. There's actually like highways in the sea called shipping lanes, and they will actually do great circle route steering as well. And it saves on fuel, it saves on time, and it actually is when you're traveling across the surface of a sphere. And the Earth is not a perfect sphere, but when you're traveling across a spherical object, the shortest point is actually shortest route is actually an arc.
And Shane, the phone screener said that you have been above the curvature.
Yeah, so I was a high altitude reconnaissance pilot, still in the Air Force, but so I flew over 70,000 feet almost every single time I went up. And while the curvature of the Earth isn't really that detectable until you get just a little over 60,000 feet, and then it becomes really, really clear. The curvature of the Earth, and then of course other things like the sky becomes really, really dark, even though the sun is outshining. But yeah, it's pretty good view, pretty good office view.
Josh, any questions for Shane?
I bet that was one hell of a view. That's awesome.
It was. I do miss it.
So if Neil deGrasse Tyson, just a lowly little astrophysicist, is saying we can't see the curvature at 127,000 feet, if we're sending balloons up with cameras on it showing perfectly flat and level Earth at 120,000 feet, how is it you're seeing curvature half that distance?
Oh, I've got pictures from 70,000 feet on above that do clearly show the curvature of the Earth, and you can actually make it out with your eyes.
And we are sure this is not necessarily, say, the curvature of the airplane, of the window of the airplane, right? Because they're all curved too. Or the barrel distortion from the lens in the camera, because that will definitely give you some curvature falsely, like
Sure.
a fisheye lens.
You're right. No, this is with the naked eye, and like I said, the higher you go, the more defined it gets, and you really can't tell that there's too much of a curve until really about the mid-60s.
So Shane, what about the point that Josh and his protege Tony were talking about? No one has ever flown across Antarctica. Is that true?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I know that we do missions to and around the South Pole all the time.
But it would have to be a single
line. One of the missions of the job I do right now.
Okay. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate your service, man.
So to get across Antarctica, we're looking for a single straight line. It wouldn't be go to Antarctica, veer off in some strange direction, and shoot back out. We want hit the coast, go in one direct line, and come out on the other side. That has not been done across the middle.
I know that you don't know what's on the bottom of a flat Earth, but what do you visualize?
I don't even really visualize anything. When I visualize it, what really pops into my mind is that gobstopper that I was taught in school, with the liquid iron core that gives us our magnetosphere that makes everything happen. It was really strange because the Curie temperature of when metal can hold a magnetic charge, the liquid iron in the Earth's core is way beyond the Curie temperature that would hold the magnetic charge. But that's neither here nor there. Right? The damn Curie temperature.
Forgot about that.
But man, human beings have only drilled 8 miles down. That's the furthest any human being has ever been, 12 kilometers. So what's underneath the Earth, and who
Tony
knows?
was there.
We have no idea how deep it is, let
What
alone
about-
what's on the other side.
Opening up a whole can of worms here. What about Hollow Earth? Have you looked into that much?
Love it. Yeah, that was the first thing I was really into when I got into conspiracies. Was I was into the Hollow Earth, and I read some of Admiral Byrd's stuff and saw videos and pictures of holes at the poles and stories of weird creatures and a second sun in the center and all kinds of really neat stuff.
God, I'd love that.
Yeah,
I really would. I prefer it.
Yeah, works on a flat Earth. No reason it can't happen on the flat Earth.
This is my kind of Paranormal Wednesday.
We've
baby.
had a little bit of everything.
I might be 3.5%.
Oh, I think you may be more like 30.
You're sounding like you're like 50%.
Yeah. You're being really disparaging and snarky to Sue Thomas. That's your personality. Josh, you want people to find you?
Yeah, TFR Live every Tuesday and Friday mornings from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the mornings. And then over at every single Friday on YouTube, we have a Have No Sphere podcast at 4 p.m.
Very nice.
That was brilliant.
So that's a thing.
That was
Well
really
done,
cool,
man.
mate.
Very, very well done, my friend. Amazingly well done. Oh, and team, I was in a very late mode when I was making that video. Apparently, I lost half of the outro with all the team members on it. So my apologies. I didn't mean to leave us out. I left myself out. So there you go. I wasn't sliding anyone on purpose.
Feel free to leave me out.
No, you're the only. I think you're one of the only ones that made the cut.
I didn't even see that. There were so many things. There's so many topics brought up there, though, Josh. And you say you've been going through it, like reliving it in your head every morning as you wake up in bed.
Right.
I know that feeling.
Before we dissect it and get serious about it, Josh, twice now I have had a belly laugh over your Foley work of the pulling it out of your ass. Oh my God, dude. I've hurt myself twice now hearing that back. Oh, bro.
I'll have to double check.
Okay, I'm done.
Sounds like something I would include a sound effect.
Brilliantly done. And my favorite Sue quote, I believe, I'm talking about real science, actual science, I don't know, but it was just too great hearing her say that again. Oh,
I'm talking about real science, sending up
satellites and stuff. Right? Okay, now I get serious because that's some funny shit.
Josh, do you think any of them listen to IRM?
Not likely. Again, just because I don't think that we would show up anywhere near at the top enough of their search results to eventually ever find us.
But even this week, after you've been on there?
Well, I mean,
I'm going to start putting Tony on the list in the morning. I should have done it this morning. I didn't think about it when I tweet out our Ironwork show.
And do you think Dave Glover would come on here?
See, I don't know if Dave Glover would. He might. He's recently started a podcast of his own where he can, work a little bit blue and drop some F-bombs whenever he wants and not have to worry about the FCC slamming him with some $500,000 worth of fines. So it's possible that he might, because the one thing I was worried about, he is contract talent as opposed to just a regular station employee who gets paid through the station. He actually has a contract that he works through. So I wasn't entirely sure if contractually he would be able to come on and do something, or if that'd be even anything he'd be interested in.
Or maybe his friend that was 3.5%.
Yeah, Tony. I think we have a better shot with Tony than we would with Dave, just hearing Tony talk about it.
Yeah, I think
apparently you had a conversation before the show.
Well, during the breaks, yeah, because during the breaks we're still talking, and Tony's got me over on his computer showing me comments and stuff on Facebook and everything else. And that's where the comment where he was talking about that was one of the things he had a hard time figuring out was these routes on the ball Earth versus routes on the flat Earth. And I think in our comments on this video on YouTube, our buddy Alan Holman had put in a few things thinking he thinks that even that guy that called in might have been a bit of an actor, and that like it was a bit of a setup that Tony had.
I wouldn't be surprised actually, because I've got a globe in front of me and a cord. I'm going from, where was it you said? San Francisco? California?
I don't even know.
To London? Okay. Well, I'll stretch where was it? Yeah, it was California to London. And he said you go way, way north. You don't actually. You basically glance the top of Newfoundland, one of the four corners of the flat Earth, by the way. But when doing that flight, it'll show you going way north of Greenland, like over the north of Greenland and back down to to London, which works perfectly on the flat Earth, but on the ball, if you stretch a chord between California and London, you don't go way north. You literally go a straight line, and you're just glancing the top of Newfoundland, which is pretty much, well, it's actually lower in latitude than London. So there you go. You do not go above the latitude of London when flying from California to London using the chord. And if you do, then it's a complete and utter waste of fuel, which they don't use.
And they're careful about using the fuel. That's so funny, John, because that was one of the very first things. In fact, I think it was the first thing when I heard about the flat Earth, and I didn't want to see videos. And what I did was I got yarn and I got a globe. And the flights, no matter how they talk about the Great Circle and that I understand the Great Circle perfectly, the flights don't make sense on the globe. And that was, again, especially on the southern hemisphere. But again, that's a key point. And they do commit you hostile, don't they, Josh? That's crazy. The callers.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I've taken some pretty crazy calls since I've been on that show. You'd be surprised, the people, just the hostility from all sorts of different things. I think I bashed the police a couple times and maybe the military a little bit on that show. Introduced a little bit of anarchy ideology on that show. Walt's right. It's kind of shocking, the stuff I got away with saying.
Oh, you did. It was such a great ride. And I'm like you every week. I kept thinking, well, next week we'll have full Josh again because this will be the one that got him done. I thought Black Goo and Hattie Bob and all that would be the one that would just be like, oh, okay, this guy's nuts. Let's keep him out. Everybody back away slow.
So it turns out we did miss a call. I had it pulled up on the laptop and I was going to try to switch it back over to the desktop.
Well, I was about to address that. Actually, I'm trying to type it up here and I don't really understand. I'm probably not being understood well. Ginger Sugarbush was a little confused listening to that, thinking the calls were being taken by us here. And that was actually Josh on a return to a local station there in Missouri, Big Market 97.1. And he had been on there some time ago. So that was us listening to his triumphant return.
And I put out in...
We do take calls, though, Ginger. We definitely do take calls here occasionally.
I put the number out in chat, Walt. And
I saw it. I just went back to go, wait, what number did he get? I'm like, oh, of course, the flatline. So I just explained all that.
Well, shall we listen to the voicemail?
Oh, yeah,
Surely,
definitely.
yes, absolutely.
Also, sorry to whoever it was, I deleted their comment. I'm just going to stay out of chat. I don't know what I'm doing.
When I saw you in there wielding the power, I'm like, wow, John hits the chat hard when he gets in there, right? He don't play. He just wields it.
I didn't know what I was doing. I hit it. I tried to undo it. I didn't. Sorry, I'm just going to stay out of there.
All right, let's see what they had to say. That's real quiet. Let me see if I can adjust that. I don't know why the hell that'd be so quiet.
That sounded like Walt.
It did sound like Walt.
That sounded like me.
That's exactly what I thought. Huh.
You leaving messages for yourself, Walt?
And cloned. Oh shit.
Well, I'll tell you what, on that as well, that high altitude pilot who I don't know. But with a naked eye, he says, would that be a naked eye behind the spherical helmet that you're wearing, which is behind the domed cockpit that you're sitting in? It's a naked eye. I don't know what that's like saying, I looking through a kaleidoscope and saying that's the real world. It's like, no, it's not. Can't go above, I don't know what it is, 60, 65 or something, without wearing like a full pressurized G suit and
oxygen. Yeah.
I mean, you see that?
There we go. Yeah, now we can see it.
That's a high altitude get up, and so is that. And all these other ones in here as well, which I can't bloody get to, you know. Hidden behind this silly thing. Floating doodle. Oh. Yeah, so I just put a search in high altitude
What am I
pilot
saying,
helmet.
though?
Show me the one with a flat visor that will give you an accurate view. Imagine trying to weld, Zach, through a fisheye lens. Yeah, that's probably why welding goggles are flat, so that it gives you a realistic view of what you're looking at.
Right, what you're welding, like huge amounts of electricity and trying to do very delicate work at times. Yeah, that does make sense.
Had to burn a few fingers off to learn.
Trying to keep fingers in place with grinders and logic, all kind of logic.
Huh. So apparently this whole voicemail was just our conversation. Played very faintly in the background.
Are you sure it's not last night's conversation where we slag everyone off?
You know it's not. I'm not sure.
Seriously, I don't know. That's really weird. Really weird. Well, with all the fun I was having trying to get in and showing my call on the phone, being in the Zoom chat and all that, I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to just do a system dump, kill all my emails, and start over because I've had bizarre stuff going on.
Was it maybe it was someone butt dialing? That's a new word for me, but
I'm catching up with modern society. What with frontal slabs and butt dialing and all.
It came up as an anonymous number, so they would have had to have taken upon themselves to accidentally block their caller ID before they accidentally called. Accidentally stayed on for 55 seconds before accidentally hanging up without ever having said anything. But maybe as a butt dial. All right, so I guess we're done with that now. Can we put that behind us at least until I show up and shove my foot in my mouth again the next time? Move on to Cami.
Oh, I thought you did excellent on that. Again, just to always have the energy and to do it. I'm so glad you guys are out there doing it. Are we ready to move on? Are we ready to look at this?
Absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely.
Did anybody take a peek of it in the chat or no? I'm going to bring up a share screen.
I did. I saw what you put in chat. The PDF.
Our chat. I thought you were generally speaking to chat. I'm like, wait, where did we post it? I was trying to find where I posted it. I'm like, oh shoot, did I need to share that? No, you meant us. Yeah, I've been looking at this.
No, Cami is an ardent professional. Well, you see, she doesn't show up in chat when she's on a live show.
Well, I've been cheating. I'm still working on this. This came to be from the last week where we were talking about, again, me jumping all over the place in the, the different questions on it, throwing it in. So I started diagramming it and trying to connect things, but it's still very much a work in process. I'm getting, do you see the screen? Do you see my mouse?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
Okay. So you can see where, and it's tedious. I'm doing it. I watched your artwork that you had playing on there and everything in motion and beautiful. And hopefully at this point we can, get there. But this at least will show you what I'm looking at this. This is, again, all conceptual. Everything can move around and change if we don't like a piece. For instance, our ground map, I know is extremely distorted. I am working on a ground map, but I've got this in as a holder until then. My voice is going. Also on the ground map, I am missing West Antarctica, which would be over here, and East Antarctica, which would be over here, which I will have as land masses not on the map, and a lot of other things on there. But you guys can see the snapshot on it. Let's start from the top a little bit and see where we can go for a little bit, because that's what I've been doing in the background, and so I'm going to do it with you a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we're going to, first of all, zoom right way until we can see big. Take it up to the top, maybe even a little bit bigger. That's probably good. What we're doing is we talked in the last show a little bit about the different layers. And so I'm going to show you what the different layers are. Your first layer would be your highest of heavens, heaven of the heavens. And we're going to show, again, the the lapis throne. We have the tree of life going up through the middle. We're going to get to the different pieces, but in here you have Asgard, and you have, goodness, what are some of the other ones? Oh, the kingdom of, going to do this.
So what is this different terminology from different cultures?
Exactly.
Right.
Kingdom of Olympus. Exactly. So from every different culture, you're going to have like the kingdom of Olympus, heaven 3 on one, the heaven of heavens, the throne of God, the throne of gods, Shambhala, Atlantis, Hyperborea. I was hoping you guys could come up with different. The place where the gods reside is where the heaven of heavens is. And so if anybody has any here, this is working. So if things come up while we're talking, we can always type them in.
Yeah, drop it in the chat too, and that helps. Just do an attention at me, and I'll go back through and catch them and throw them in here as well.
Would Nirvana be Nirvana? Would that be considered? I think so. We'll put a question mark on it, and we'll look into it more.
So should we have a pop quiz as to which culture has what?
Well,
because Asgard is Viking, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Or Norse, at least.
Which also has
that is the Old Norse
through the Rainbow Bridge, which is always intriguing as hell to me, especially going back with the ideas of crystals and projections
and how much are they pushing that these days as well with all these
Thor
movies,
right?
gods movies and Vikings, and I mean it's really quite prevalent at the moment, isn't it?
So on that, we have Asgard right here. Here is the Biford Bridge, and I have it going down through the Tree of Life and down through the center poles for access. Again, it might be a side pole, but this seemed to make from the north the sense of it.
And the rainbow thing fits in quite nicely, doesn't it? Because
yes, it does.
Obviously the pyramid. What am I talking about? The prism.
Prism, yes, sir.
Crystals.
Some of the things I put up there, and I'm going to, again, this is inward move it, but this would be the apotheosis of George Washington. If anybody is familiar with the dome at our Capitol and the depictions of the heavens and through there, that's, again, each one of these could be a show unto itself, but look into the dome and the way it will depict the heavens and holding it up.
This was something I dug into when we were having, Chad Swan on, when I got into all the Masonic stuff and the Capitol, and I was just finding too much trying to get ready for his appearance, so I just had to leave some of it alone. But yeah, that I always thought, is this some kind of reflection of a reversed flat earth map, or what's going on with all this? You know what I'm saying?
Making it big for you for a second, but yes, it's quite, you actually have a picture of the angels, and I suggest everybody zoom in on it so I can get really lost on it.
We should do that trick with the inverted color thing like Josh did with the
that was brilliant.
We could definitely
I bet that'll pop that in a whole different direction.
And
sorry, I don't want to see, I'm doing it again. This is what we always do, Cameron. This is why it's so hard for us to go straight forward with the presentation, because we're all like geeks on this stuff. We nerd out when ideas make us excited, and we're just like, oh, do this, go there. Let's forget what you were doing. I'm so sorry.
That. No, don't. I'm pulling this out again right over the thing. You'll notice I'm working on there. That is the geeking going with it. You have, again, the throne of God here, the lapis chair, Ezekiel's wheel, in that, getting in through different mythologies, your tree of life going through in there.
And that's on the ceiling of, what is it? Something in Washington, D.C.?
The monument. I mean, the Capitol.
The Capitol building, that's on the dome.
Inside the dome, right.
Pulling
Sorry, I'm talking. Shut up, Walter.
And how many domes are there? I mean, you got the dome on the hill as well, haven't you?
You're going to have 2 other domes by there, and we're going to get into that when we get further down here, because on this map, when we get into it, we're going to answer all of the questions that they were asking you during your radio interview. We have possible solutions for them. So we're going to suggest in the mapping possible solutions for all of the questions and try to make some semblance into it. As a map, taking it as a whole, we stopped and we did the top kingdom in this. Then we're going to next have the firmament, which we refer to as the Miroscope in Camiland.
Right.
Rikia, the vault of heavens.
The gray shape of it kind of hidden there in the shape. That's awesome.
Yes. Having
I'm sorry,
two-
let me interrupt you for 1 second, Cami. As a
Yes.
side note to everybody in chat that I did tell to put questions or everything at my attention, at the moment, we're in a full screen presentation on the call, watching Cami play with this presentation in front of us too. So I promise I will get to that, and we're not ignoring you guys. So my apologies one more time. I will shut up and mute now.
I can pull up the chat. We just missed another damn call. Apparently, the flatline, if you call with a blocked caller ID as an anonymous, not only will it not come through as a phone call, you can't do text messaging either. Apparently, the only way to do it is with an actual phone number showing for them to recognize it. So I keep getting another voicemail pop up, but I don't ever see a call come through to answer. I'm guessing because it's been anonymized.
Cool. It's got some attitude, that phone line, isn't it?
I like it. Snarky and everything, Josh.
I will pull up the chat, though, and keep an eye out.
Looking good. Well, you guys do that. I go through after the show, and I'll go through and I'll read the chat, and I look for questions, and a lot of this stuff I again addressed on the map itself. And thank you for the people that wrote emails that to me. I haven't written back. I haven't slept much. This has been very painfully slow for me, but and with a lot going on. But I think a diagram is a good jump off spot before we start doing the Faraday. We were going to do today Rahu K2 and the Faraday effect, and I guarantee you that's an area I want to get to. But I think today doing an overview, and then I can finish a lot of the detail work and on the diagram and match it up, and then from there we can, I think, have a better place to go.
Sounds
is
great.
Where I got it, because without the diagram and without a place to go back to, again, it was just too much, I think, for me to throw at people.
So before you get ill and go down with the Adams, then we need to get through this.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing. Let us stop interrupting you, because I hear you're already struggling with your voice and your throat. So, and please, 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 don't let us geeks keep you up too late and keep you on the show too long or anything. Get you some rest. I know there's been a lot going on with the family, and congratulations one more time to the son and all that happened. That was great for you to hear for you guys.
That's not you guys. That's entirely me loving this and, loving to do it. So I want to, once I started diagramming it, and it's like, wait a minute, I can't draw, but I can cut and clip art and cut and paste in Word documents and make some semblance on it so you can go back to things.
Cami, do you find that you do, when do you do your research? Do you find that it comes better at night when everyone's gone to bed and there's no interruptions, or during the day, or first thing in the morning? Or
it depends on what kind of research it is. I mean, I daydream a lot where I shouldn't be doing it, but during laundry and then paperwork and that I shouldn't. I'm putting things in motion in my head and I'm focusing a lot. And then at night, in the middle of the night, I have to look up, I'll get on any one of the Arakia. I'll look every information that I can on Arakias, or I'll do little cross, on Faraday effect, or that I'll go on tangents. And then they're all little pieces of a puzzle to me that I'm trying again to put together and find where they go in the puzzle. So we're not stuck with any of these pieces. It's a Word document. We can delete, we can copy, paste, cut, snip, and do things like that. But at least it's a drawing board to work from.
Well, that's a good point, because I've seen a couple of cretins, I can't think of a better word, that are saying that you're saying that this is how it is. This is what is occurring in reality. And although we have said it before, we've said it a number of times, this is not what we think it is and how it is. It is literally a working whiteboard that we're playing with.
I mean, even as we're having this freaking conversation, we're watching Cami replace things, stretch them, move them, put new text in. We're building this with Cami as more than a guest. She is here with family now. And for her to come in and share this with us is like thank you again for that, number one. And number two, this is everything we're trying to do is building from the ground up with no help from money, real scientism, grant type situation. You know, we're doing this from the ground up, from scratch, with grassroots, love, heart. You hear what Cami's saying with all the love and heart she's putting into this. So,
well, I think it's important to highlight.
But,
I think it's important to highlight that, you know, in order to utilize the scientific method, we have to come up with a hypothesis. And in order to do that, you need to observe things. And this is what we're observing, we're researching. We're at stage one, basically. You know, and only when we've gone through the researching, the observations and putting together some sort of valid hypothesis that we can go at, then we can try it and start testing it on whatever ways we feel we can try and test it. But you know, it's a basis, it's a ground mark. Sorry, we've done it again, haven't we?
No, you didn't do
I'm
it.
trying to defend you, and we're just interrupting.
No,
Sorry,
you did
we
it
love you.
perfectly. You did it absolutely perfectly. And what I do like about this is like complimenting myself, but what I do like about the way that I am putting it together is some of this stuff, like the heaven of the heavens, we're not going to be able to test. But as soon as I start putting the magnetics and cycles and different things like eclipses and the meriscope, the firmament thing, once we're starting to put in these elements, I am putting in testable elements that you can build hypothesis and we can test it. And if it doesn't work, we throw it out and we start over. So these ones, as we go down on here, I'll tell you like some of definite looking at them, definite tests that could be done to rule them in or out. Some of the things will remain a mystery, but again, there are a lot of details everywhere. So it's building the mystery and putting all the pieces together. And again, as we look at it, we'll add more pieces and we'll take some away that we were like, wait, that doesn't work.
As far as some of this being untestable and not provable, if you will, as far as some of those upper layers of this design,
we won't need to. It's the maps
it's not that
we have to prove.
That depending on where you are in your path and where you are with what you've experienced in your life, in reference to some of these layers or these planes of existence or these astral regions, I mean, you know, as you may know from just hearing some of the shows, I do not doubt at all. And I know things I've experienced that are not at all in any way fantasy, hallucinations, or dreams. These were realities. I mean, well, we've discussed the whole idea of dream time versus this consciousness that we're all sharing right now. So I know there are people out there who not only have tested these places and experienced them, but I mean, where do you think all these theories and legends came from? You know? So again, I'll shut the fuck up.
No, you don't. So in a way that will test it, because they're testable, that they also show up in, I've only started putting a few, but they seem to be culture wide. Yes. Everywhere, the same stories, different names and different versions. And some of the people had more pieces than the other. So as like we put it together, oops, wait, that's a sloppy box too. I made bad boxes. I don't know what I did. I messed up a box while we were playing, but we'll do that later. I'll tweak that later.
We'll tweak it, right.
We'll tweak it while we're doing. I see that I went off of the edge with this box here, and I don't really, I see what happened. Yeah, I didn't need to be way over there anyway. Get that centered in the middle. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm putting that down our pole. So we're going to go down and keep interrupting in that because again, we're not really presenting today. We're giving you guys an overview on it. So the firmament would be our meriscope. It would be Rakia, the vault of the heavens, heaven 2. We're going to add in, again, I just started typing these in between cutting and pasting. This document was started yesterday by me. So it's just taking the ideas in my notes and putting them in an order.
You've been putting serious late hours, lady. I
did.
My God, this is amazing. This would take me a week to assemble something like this.
It's in Word. I'm at least comfortable in Word. I started going in different paint programs, and it's like I've never done any of those. I might as well go. I've done Word documents, so that was a place I'm comfortable.
There you go. Use the tools you know.
Mm-hmm. Use the tools you know. And then I didn't do it very artsy or pretty, but that's not my skill. But I would be anybody that can make it more artistic and bring out the beauty in it. There's a lot of beauty in it to be brought out. So I would not take offense. I would take nothing but pleasure about anybody, you know, trying to mark it up better than me.
Earlier in reference to the, how'd you say it? Something about the graphics or whatever that we use. That's nothing we did. That's strictly Norb's work. Again, I'll have the link in the description. I just haven't had time to run over there.
He's a great guy.
Well, man, I can't imagine that between you and him, and then
again, there are people with some skills. But we have to test the model first and see.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying we have to get the technical parts down, and then there's that whole idea that he's again more artistic. What's the word? Interpretive approach to what he did, and he says that numerous times in that this is, you know, not an accurate map, not accurate anything. This is just an idea, kind of like what we're doing here. His was just a little more advanced because he knows his shit. And my goodness, shout out again to Nora. I'm gonna drop him a line and see if maybe we can get a meeting of the minds together and see if he can get something.
I would love it. I admire him. He's fabulous, but I understand it's a huge project.
I'll tell you what though, Cami, sorry to butt in. One last point. I don't know if you've ever heard of a book called Heaven and Earth.
Yes. I haven't read, but I've heard of it.
Gabrielle Henriette.
Yes, I think we have it here. It might be at the house. I've had people read excerpts, and I've done Seventh Day Truth Seeker reads from it a lot, and it's on my need to do it. I keep getting lost in my Ken Wheeler stuff.
Well, there's one thing she mentions in there that really struck a chord with me. That this is talking about sort of validating the dome, Josh, and it was about taking photos of the sky during lightning storms. Do you remember anything about that?
I don't know.
How she was saying that she could literally see the vault of a cover over us, or a dome, or whatever the hell you want to call it. With
the sprites and the elves, and that I've looked at a lot of people doing sprite and elf work supposedly reflecting it. So I haven't read hers, but I have gone down that. I have definitely gone down that same path through, again, on a tangent.
Yeah, for those with cameras, if you've got a camera and it's doing one of those lightning, I mean, I've only ever seen one in the UK where it was just sort of lightning, you know, for like a minute and a half.
Here.
Yeah, it was mental. I'd only ever seen it in Africa. When the tropical storms were coming in, but I saw it about a year ago, I think 18 months ago in the UK, where it was just multiple lights all over. I think at that point it was cloudy though, but sometimes you do get lightning storms where it is still a starry night out there, and she claims that she'd seen it herself, that you can actually make out the sort of perimeters, or the whatever of some sort of cover over us, or a dome. So there is a possibility of us testing it and observing it. You know, it may not remain fantasy for too long if enough people look up at the right time and start recording these things.
Remember the young girl, I think she was from Australia, that had the big story a few years back with the plasma columns, tubes arcing across us, over us in the atmosphere, etc. I mean, tie all this together, man. It's fitting exactly what you're showing here.
That's exactly what we're trying to, these are the exact type of things. You'll notice while you're talking, we started, all of this stuff still has to be typed in. I have it on note pages. And then from each one of these, I think I'll make a long description of it. But as you just threw that in, we just added sprite selves and pillars to magnetics on the Terra level. Actually, it might go into the dome level.
There was also something in that book about the celestial circles, is all I can say. Is that they were like hanging from wires. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the pictures of the moon where they've got these parallel lines coming off the moon. It's the front cover of a book, of quite a famous book. I can't remember which yet.
I've seen that one too. And Bob and I'm not going to remember the name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I wish I could, we could yell for Bob, but you're right with it. It looks like the pillars and it looks like ladders up to heaven and that.
There's some very interesting stuff in there, but
we're going
sorry.
to try to tie everything together. And so there are no questions off limits on here because I think it's all part of it. I think if you open your eyes and look, it's all part of it. So in our heaven, or in our firmament, not the heaven of heavens, but the firmament, heaven of heavens, by the way, got moved off of there, and that really needs to go up. That's up, not down here. Oops. Much better. But in our firmament, which is the vault, which is described as a vault made out of bronze, made out of molten looking glass, made out of different things. This is what's functioning as our miroscope. And this is going to take anything that's happening physically here. This is a physical realm, a parabolic dish doubled, much like the miroscope. And anything that's happening here is going to mirror itself through the star field, which we're going to call the veil, through our domes, and we're going to visualize it here. So anything happening there is going to show up down here. Along with that, we'll bring that down. So in here you have Rahu and Ketu, which is the black sun. Oops. The planets, which they call the lesser gods, the muses, the sides in the heaven. The dark sun, Rahu, is also Musapulheim in, I believe that's in Norse. And that is the fiery god, the dark fiery god. Metatron's cube, perhaps, the voice of God. K2. Oh, by the way, Rahu is a positive. We're going to put positive and negatives on things while we're doing this. K2.
And that doesn't mean good or bad, does it?
No, we're going to talk, it's going to talk polarity is what it's going to talk.
Sure.
And we're going to get into that with the Faraday effect and that and energy, but that's going to come later.
I was quite interested to see Selene mentioned in there because
so
that
yes.
was an ancient word for the moon, I thought.
Yes, and that could go up there too. I've also seen it with K2, which again, they're going to manifest as the same. Alfheim is where the elves, the K2 is in elven lore, same with Mosafine. That's an elven lore that this is where the elves reside on the Celestine now. We know that they can't live on a spinning ball, which that's going to be, somewhat of a spinning ball. But I put it up there anyway. It's symbolized through where they hit through the river, and that maybe it's on the way to the high heavens. That could also be the high heavens.
And
again, I might not have things in the right place.
Who are the Alphim or the Elfim?
The elves.
Okay, do they exist or?
I think they did, and actually there's some historical data on there, but we're going to take mythology, we're going to take different things, and we're going to cross them off if we don't, like along the line, if we decide something's not valid, we're going to get rid of it, but we're going to throw it on the list.
Although I would say that J.R.R. Tolkien went to his death claiming that Lord of the Rings and everything he wrote about, he was just rewriting history. He was a person who had numerous grasps on ancient languages and was allowed into the vaults of the British Library and all sorts. And he literally said that it wasn't a story. I think
it wasn't. It's not. You can put all of the levels on here. This is going to be Middle Earth where we are here, Terra. There, you're going to have your underworld where your trolls and your different things reside underneath it. No, you can put the layers in Lord of the Rings too. It works. It works in novels. It works in so many crazy ways.
Yeah, for anyone who's scoffing at it, though.
We're about to get a big PR piece on him here in the States, John. There's a big movie about to hit telling his story. I can't remember if it's actually in the theaters or if it's on one of the streaming services.
If it's big, then
I'm sure it's bullshit all the way through. So that's why I'm saying we need to get the real truth out, because definitely going to be there's going to be a big PR spin about to hit the States. So
I'm just wondering where I got the information from, whether
I've heard that too.
Mel Fabregas or whether it was Crow, or Mel is someone I'd love to get on here as well.
I mean, even back when I was doing the whole UFO thing, in years of talking with Whitley Strieber, both at conventions and behind the scenes, in his books, he talked about how he never thought any of what he was experiencing had anything to do with distant stars or planets. It felt like something ancient that had been here with us forever and had been in different guises, the little people, the elves, the whatever, etc., throughout time.
That's it. That's what J.R.R. Tolkien was talking about and saying, that this isn't make-believe, this is world history. Take that for how you want. But sorry, Cami, we'll let you carry on.
Nope, you did that way. You did that. Here I brought up, and this is Elven and it's Norse. So you have Asgard. You have, I cannot spell or say these right, but Muspelheim, which is the home of the fire giants and the demons right here, which we're going to call the K2, or Rahu, the black sun. Alfium, home of the light elves, we're going to call it the moon, because they're going to manifest, again, all of these realms.
Well,
Helheim, we can get Helheim on there. The giants, we can get in the layers I'm putting on the map. And again, I'm a very bad person for just remembering off of the top of my head. So each one of these will have a page showing, because I have folders and folders of the information. Right now, I'm just sorting it for you. So we name things because of the pictures, and it's from the pictures that it's up here, mostly the visuals.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, we can't help interrupting. I'm sorry, but
we try. It's so exciting.
Otherwise,
that's what I was going to say about that image you just brought up. Reminded me a lot, and I guess it's just synchronicity, and it has to be, because it's reminding me of how the whole idea of the different races with the different outer rings, as they've expanded outward, and that ripple effect, and they're the more ancient ones with the more ancient knowledge, and we're the little younger ones here. And oh man, okay,
that's perfect. So you're going to have that. We're going to build on the mythology, and again, if we piece it together from enough truths, New Zealand has got a lot of. By the way, there's somebody named Gabi Plume who does such documentaries such as Skeletons in the Closet, and she's got several or in the cupboard, I believe. Skeletons in the Cupboard. She does oral histories of people from New Zealand that have been taking oral histories from generations and generations going back, and that they keep a good history.
Oh,
and
wow.
She'll take you through Easter Island.
Is she on YouTube or something?
Yes, she is on YouTube, and I recommend all of her documentaries, because what she does is do for people that keep oral history, and there's some really good ones out there. Gabi, second word Plume, Plumm, I believe.
Plumm,
I think. I can bring her up too.
Gabi Plume.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that.
All of her stuff, their documentaries at night. I've learned so much. I've learned so much from, let's see if I can bring it up.
Because a little a little sort of hobby of mine is researching Australian Aboriginals and their
you're going to love
dream
this.
time and all the background and all their history. And it's just fascinating. It really is.
So New Zealand Skeletons in the Cupboard, episode 1 is the redheads, under the carpet skeletons. Anyway, she has going across, there's more than this on here the way I pulled it up, but I recommend, I've seen everything she does, because I really respect her way of just slowly getting down and digging down to the truth, and not, again, gathering all of the information from so many different sources and bringing it together.
It's like proper
and the respect on it.
Anthropology.
Yeah. She does it well.
Cool.
So on there we have that going. You have still in our firmament, which is the rakia, which is our miroscope. Your magnetics of it, we believe this might be the quantum locking zone. Again, I'll probably put a question mark on some of these as I'm formatting and making them pretty, or taking that to that quantum locking zone, the dielectric inertial plane. We do know that the heliospheric current sheet which happens in space weather, is happening there. I believe that this is an area that I think all space weather is happening, well, between there and then you'll hit your star field. This is what, when you go to space weather and they take your indexes and proton readings and radiation and everything, they are going up through the veil into the firmament, and that's what the readings are for there. So one of the things on there we'll look for is the heliocentric current sheet, which I drew in on the map. And that's this purple flower in the background. What that is that's just a rotating field of alternating polarities.
Wow.
And it's something that we know is up there. It's something that we observe. It messes with ham radios. It does things. We know that it is responsible for something called the solar sector boundary crossings, which mess with a lot.
They've been talking about this a long time, haven't they? This is not something
this isn't science, yes.
No, and it also reminds me of all that research on the there's a word, the vortex shape that they're using in like picking industry. They've figured out a way to use it in it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a word for it and I can't remember it. I'll go find it. But because it's that picture. There it is. That's the flower shape. That's the vortex flow that is the secret to so many things.
It is. That is your vortex. If you wanted to look and see where I got this picture, you would type in heliocentric current sheet. Heliospheric current sheet. So I'm going to actually copy and show you. Copy and paste.
And that's almost the exact sort of same
you can have your
properties as water going down a funnel in the sort of Victor Schulberger, is it Schulberger?
Right. Yeah, that same thing, that whole thing that led in that idea that led into that shape now that they're using. It's been too long since I watched the video.
They actually make copper pipes now sorry, I had to bring it over to plumbing, but they actually make copper pipes in a spiral now, so that you can buy spiral copper pipes, and it's meant to completely do something or other. Don't know.
I'll put a link in the description. I'll put the Gabby link in there for you, Cami, on the description. And I'm going to put a link here that shows an animation, a bunch of animations for this heliosphere.
Nice.
I don't know.
We'll put it in other places. Another way of looking at this is call it Faraday rotation. Don't be scared.
No, I've got too much in the description now. I gotta go.
But I'm saying in your mind, don't be afraid to what you're looking at. There is Faraday rotation, and one of the things that I would like to do with this is we know that we track the solar sector bounding crossings. I have a hypothesis that the lunar wave that Crow is getting is a lunar sector boundary crossing. In other words, the moon is going through the crossing that you see going there. We track when the sun is doing it, and if we track when the sun is doing it on ham radios, and we know where the sun and moon are, we should be able to track when the moon does and when the other planets that are playing in there doing it. Like he was saying, he got the effect on Jupiter.
Interesting.
If that's true and we track it, we can do some tests on it. We could actually
we could predict them, couldn't we?
We could predict them. We could predict the solar waves. We could also, like I am looking at K2 being celestite or celestine. I'm looking at it as a mineral with specific measurable properties about it. And so if your solar sector boundary crossing is like working like a refractometer polariscope, we could back engineer it. And for instance, again, if we could predict it and happen when it did, I made the prediction that if the moon is going through this and is the material I think it is, it should have a birefringence, or that picture should wave by about 1.1%.
Yeah,
and that's something that you can come at scientifically and test. And again, you could put into predicting it and doing it. So much of this stuff you could actually look at predicting go places with.
And these are things that we'll get into for anyone who's wondering what birefringence is. And
we will make it easy.
we'll get into it. But to put some meat on the bones, are you able to talk about the Faraday effect or what exactly that is? And
I can talk all day about the Faraday effect. We're going to, the next show I'd like to do with you guys will be called Rahu Ketu and the Faraday effect. Because if we play with that, we can model and reproduce. I can use this heliocentric current sheet or heliospheric current sheet, Rahu K2 and polarities. And by mirroring down to properties is transparent on there, I can actually recreate both eclipses, have some reasons for why daylight and nighttime ends, and shadows, and again your evenings, your dawns. The way that light is hitting, a lot of it can be explained through polarity, which polarity, circular polarity, another name for that is the Faraday effect, something we know if we have an electromagnetic universe has to be happening. And so what we're doing is we're just observing where we're seeing it in the patterns, and we're going to put a name to it. And if it is there, we can test it. You'll notice that we have the magnetics going negative and positive through here on our pillars going up. I lost some pillar here, but we'll see where that is.
This is one of the things I'm talking about. For people that are listening or watching and sort of thinking, well, this is a bit way out there and this is all, old scripture and that sort of stuff. Well, it's something unique that we're doing here. We're sort of melding together. It might not be unique, but who cares? But we're melding together ancient cultures and thoughts and trying to bring them into modern day and then be able to test them.
Yes.
Because you're a firm believer in you don't want to believe, you want to know, right?
I want to be able to know or test or do this. So but you can't test something unless you project it exists. In other words, we have to have something to test. So in other words, I'm coming up with looking at these pieces on there. What cause and effect could they have if they have this function?
That's right. You can't test the flat Earth unless you hypothesize that the Earth may be flat. If you can't even get over that hurdle and be able to hold two thoughts in your mind without having to follow either, either it's a ball or it's flat. If you can't imagine it ever being flat, then how on earth are you ever going to test it? So this is stuff that you just got to lend your brain out every now and again to explore this sort of stuff, then test it, then declare whether it's bullshit or not.
So Bell's theorem on the eclipses, the Faraday effect on the lunar web, different ways that we can look at and do a lot of things that could do. That firmament also controls everything that's going on in there because of your wandering stars and your sun and the moon. It controls the Saros cycles, or in other words, they're happening there. Eclipses, which we're going to bring Bell's theorem in there, the Mayan calendar. I have so many more cycles to add on here again, just like I'll have more magnetics to add. This just got started and I'm pulling from notebooks. So you're just seeing how it's starting to come through a little bit. I'm going to need a bigger canvas and a smaller font is what I'm going to need. And as the artwork gets better, I know what these things look like. I just tried to clip art them the best I could, and pieces disappeared. This red should be in front. I can't make it go up front. I don't care. People will have to visualize it. I think I have enough in there to grasp an idea of it. You'll notice that in the moon cycle I have shown going on in the firmament, you have K2 at a full moon at its highest. Rahu, the black sun, is again directly opposite and on it straightforward. So you can take this all into the phases of the sun and moon I did with Karen B to get more information on it. Are we ready to keep going?
Absolutely. I'm just
all right.
Away, trying to keep up, drop links hard as I can.
Oh yeah. And anything, again, as we think of I put the sprites and elves in and that, I think those are going to happen in our dome or atmosphere, but we'll move them there. Our next layer, we're going to call this stars. We're also going to call it the veil, the tint of the heavens. sonoluminescence, crystals, diamonds in the sky, the watchers. And again, I have to neaten up my text and add more things in there. Things we can test or look on this is if the stars were crystals or sonoluminescence. I know I was looking with John's, was it John or Adam? It was Adam that was geeking out with me on the sonoluminescence and the crystals.
Yeah, he'll only talk to you if we mention his name. Where are you, Adam?
Adam Megan.
Adam.
Loggia Red.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Nah, he's fumbling for the buttons now. Okay, he's probably.
That's all right. No, we're all right with it.
His head.
So we have a like we're looking at a combination of crystals, some sonoluminescence being built around crystals in the ether on this, and I found a lot of scientific evidence where they're going in that direction, and we'll bring that forward. But if that's the case and they are crystals or anything around, they're going to have polarity, north-south polarity. And so then you can get into on the magnetics and the medium. Is redshift just a disparity in alignment of polar axis? Does it have to be things traveling apart? Because we'll pull out a Ferris cell and do some work on another show and show different ways that you can create redshift. So
sorry, Cami, did you say crystals have a polarity, a north-south polarity?
Yes.
Hell, I did not know that.
One of the first things you test on, is their polarity and their polar axis. So if our stars if the stars were crystals in the sky, causing sonoluminescence through vibration, which again, you put the right hit it with the right frequencies, you could, to me, when you look at the pictures of people doing the up close, especially with the P900s, they're calling them artifacts and problems with the camera. I think that the digital camera might be picking up some of the crystal patterns, it might be picking up more than we see with our eyes as opposed to wrong. I'm open to ideas and we're looking at it, but it could be picking up a pattern that we're not seeing so much on it. But each one of the stars, what's unusual about it being a camera problem is if you go and zoom into Sirius, it has a sacred geometric shape to it. If you go out another night, it has the same sacred geometric shape. The next star has a different shape.
But also, Cami,
they stay consistent even though they say it's not a good effect, it's a consistent effect, and I think we should look at it.
I'm digging so hard for a picture from my early attempts, but until I find that, I'm not going to reveal anything. Just go ahead, John. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be a camera problem, because we've all looked up and we've seen stars that are clearly twinkling.
Yes.
So how the hell does that happen from trillions of miles away?
Right, and flying. It doesn't, but it would happen if there was a crystal exposed to the right frequency. And then when they read what the absorption spectrum is and what the chemicals are, because they'll say that they found a whole planet made of diamonds or a star, they'll say that they found, if you look at your absorption spectra and actually try to analyze it as something close by, and then look at the redshift instead of it being flying away at expanding, if you look at it and say that, know that you can recreate it just by tilting the axis. I think it's a whole different way of looking at the stars that could explain so much. So these, again, we can devise ways that with absorption spectra, we have Dr. John Dees, we have people, more people are getting on board every day, and I'm hoping, to touch different ways that you can think of different tests of maybe looking at it like that. And if it doesn't turn out to be, I know that I can create redshift by making a disparity of alignment in the polar axis, but I don't know that what we're looking at is that, just like I don't think that what I'm looking at is Doppler effect of things flying millions of miles or whatever they are. But again, we can devise tests to look at it differently and see if we can figure out what it is.
Well, a couple of things. It wasn't there a mainstream balloon launch that determined that the stars disappeared above a certain height?
Everything is going to stop back a minute. Everything, if you think about where our stars, I interrupted you. If you think about where your stars and planets are, they are all in they're residing right now in the firmament. and they're holographically coming down via the miroscope, reflecting all the waves down to us. At a certain, if you get high enough, you're going to lose the angle and you're not going to see them.
Now, is holographic the right word?
I don't think
Because
so.
I think
I don't think so. We'll have to come up with.
I mean, if you're talking about
the stars are
the
reflecting.
miroscope, that's a reflection.
It is a reflection, but it's not a reflection. It's creating a holographic image, but it's creating a holographic image that's an analog, if I understand correctly. That's an analog version. In other words, it's transferring heat, it's transferring cold, it's transferring radiation. It's taking and focusing things like a parabolic dish.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I think that Rahu, which is the dark star here, is going down like a laser beam, and when it interacts with our magnetic field through the veil and coming through on the magnetic field and is hitting our magnetic field and our gases and that in the atmosphere, I believe it's igniting here in the atmosphere.
And the other thing was Doppler effect. I've done a bit of research into this because I'm hearing it a lot from the shortwave radio guys. But Doppler effect is only applicable when you're viewing it down the line.
Right.
So something's coming towards you or something's going away from you. It's not applicable from the orthographic view where something's going across your field of view. That's only what I understand. I could be completely wrong. I am.
I don't think you're wrong at all on it. And it was one of the things going on there that I kept on trying to understand redshift and why they would.
Well, this is why the traffic police in the UK were having trouble convicting drivers where they were sweeping across their field of view as they were driving past, sort of thing, and it was shown in court and thrown out. The charges were thrown out because it wasn't a linear cast. It wasn't down the line, i.e. the guy's coming towards you or the guy's going away from you, so it couldn't be properly evidenced as a speed detector. Don't know, just spitballing.
No, why they randomly decided or they didn't randomly, but they looked at it and at the time decided to read it as a Doppler effect, and it's held on to it. In other words, they haven't ever undid it, but I think a lot of people have trouble with it. There are distances and things that they're resolving. None of their math works out.
That was
and
it.
They'll even say
with it.
The distances. Yes.
It was the people were saying you can tell how far something away is because of the Doppler effect when we
it's like
and it's distances and it's like, no, I'm sorry, that doesn't work because distance it can't be determined unless.
And what about the amount of time it takes to get there and back, and why it's moving, and by the time it got back to you, it would be so far.
Yeah,
it's not a coherent in the way that they explain it in my mind.
It sounds good. It all sounds good. The red shift, blue shift, everything else. But it obviously always sounds complicated. If it wouldn't be, an ology if it wasn't complicated. But
right.
Well,
reality, my red shift and blue shift is not complicated. All you have to do is imagine a crystal like in alignment on a polar axis, tilt it one direction, off axis, and you get red shift. Tilted another way, you're going to get blue shift. That's it. That's the complication. The amount of shift is the amount of angle.
Right. And that would make a lot of sense because I used to take a lot of moon photos, zoomed in moon photos. And I used to get numerous comments about the one of the limbs of the moon would always be red. And the other one would be like blue. And people were saying, how did you make it red and blue? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm just taking a picture of the bloody moon. I'm just zooming on it. I'm just wondering if that may have something to do with cameras,
filters and what's going on. A lot of our layers of atmosphere, our layers of magnetics, our layers of a lot of things are working. And that's one of the things I hope to back engineer or look at in that way. A lot of them are working like filters and equipment in that. Like I said, that heliocentric current sheet that's rotating fields of polarity plus minus in the fold going on there. That's a Polaroid filter on a polariscope. I mean, it's you can back engineer it and look at it up and try to use it as equipment, and then again we can devise tests for it and go from, again, so many different tests can be done as I fill in the sheet, and that it gets really, that's why we didn't sleep. And again, we want to at least get the give you guys just a little breakout on it. The BZ index, if you go to spaceweather.com and look at, we'll do that for you too. I'm not letting you guys all talk.
Well,
you're
I
doing well. I've butted in numerous
absorbed
times.
and digging through old files both, so I'm split, and I apologize.
Well,
but when I find this, it will be worth it. I promise.
I didn't at the beginning of the show. I didn't know that my camera was on, and I was like just doing like that weird look, cut and paste, and that filling in the sheets. This is spaceweather.com. It tracks what's going on, the solar wind, the density. This is stuff I believe is happening all up in the firmament. And when you get down in our auroras, which we'll get into, if we get here, you look at your interplanetary magnetic field, and it's to the north right here. This is what we're going to call our veil. It's the play between, in other words, you have your magnetic field of the firmament, which is going to, if you think about the way it mirrors it down, it's going to be exactly reversed of ours. So this is how the two magnetic fields are playing together. When this pulls down into the south, and you'll see, let's bring this, your lines up and down on it. That's when you're going to look at your BZ index on here. So right here, if you're looking at this red line at the top, your red and blue, as it goes underneath to the south, you'll notice I've noticed people get edgier, stocks trade lower, watch your moods to it. That's also when the field is the weakest. That's when photos could be taken maybe to try to capture more things like at the North Pole or that. That's definitely a weak magnetic shield. As it goes, the further south it goes on it, the weaker magnetic shield. And we're going to call that our veil.
I would say that the and this is purely my opinion, that everything you're talking about is real, i.e. what's above you has effects on what happens down here.
It does.
But what I would say, just my gut feeling, if I was in charge, this is what I'd do, is put out a bunch of websites called Space Weather and that other guy, Suspicious Observer, and all the rest of it, and make this shit up and just say next week's going to be really, really shit. And secretly, I'd be shorting all the stocks, and I'd make a fortune. Next week, yeah, we're having a massive upturn. I think what they tell us as space weather is probably horseshit, but I entirely think that it's a real thing. It's like astrology, and the astrology you read in a British tabloid newspaper, or the astrology that you actually understand and go into. Sorry, Cami.
Yep, and I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to respectfully disagree on this one thing, only because I can personally on this one. I've never heard about them saying I haven't listened to them enough. I listened to Suspicious Observers at the very beginning of it, and then when he went anti-flat earther and called our Globusters channels all kinds of rude names. I haven't turned him back on. I was interested because I was laughing. Is again, their model would work what he's looking at works so much better. All of their science works so much better on the flat Earth by putting the lid on it and putting these fields in there. I can't begin to tell you. He's like, they're looking in confusion because in their model it wouldn't make sense at all that a earthquake here could cause a sunspot. In other words, they were looking at cause and effect between sunspots and earthquakes and such, except for it went backwards for them. They were finding the reverse of what they were looking for. They were finding that, wow, things that were happening on Earth seem to be affecting the sun and playing together. But how does that work? What works beautifully on it, as far as the index and the field on it, this is my own personal opinion only. I've never heard it anywhere. as far as people being uncomfortable, I sat there with an index. I was a space weather geek from before I met Bob 20 years ago. I was trying to figure out how all of it worked, and I never, ever did. I just kept on scratching my head, reading more definitions, watching the graphs, watching how people reacted. But at the time, what I was doing was I was also in the jewelry business where I was looking at the price of metals every day. It was very important what the price of metals were. And I was also we were converting money back and forth between different currencies through different ones, just as a way of, because we're buying and selling in different, countries and doing that, and a little bit of safety on it. And a few other things at the same time, where I had these little apps open and maps running on my desk for years and years. That was just part of the normal. As you'd look at the gold, London VIX, you'd look, what the stock market, you would look at what everything is doing, what are the currencies doing.
Yep.
And then plus I had my little space weather app on. And I noticed that on my little BZ index and my little needle going, that whenever we've had a bad solar storm in that, gold traded lower. It fell for no reason. If it was supposed to go way up, it didn't go up as high as it was supposed to go by the news. In other words, everything underperformed when we went into the BZ index went south. And this was my own little mental game. This was something I watched it for 20 years.
But this is sort of what I'm saying, Cami, is that
it does affect you.
It
So
does,
they're not saying
it's real, and it does affect what's going on Earth. But did you ever hear any pundit saying, because we're entering into this, or because the solar so and so is this, then you need to get out of gold or whatever? Or
no, I didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't listen to any of this. This was just my personal observations, and I would say made enough personal observations. But you can have it high one day and low the next day, and it goes all over the place. So I would not make. In other words, you can't. By the time you're on the radio and saying it, you have to live in space weather if you were going to trade that way. You wouldn't. It's not a radio that people the next day could do it. In other words, it's happening. It's happening in the now.
But
and they're not very good.
Just,
they can predict it somewhat, but not perfectly. I mean, not good enough.
It's not just the stock market that they're doing this against, though. I mean, the space weather people are predicting volcanoes and earthquakes, and
they're working on it now.
Upheavals and all sorts of things. I'm just saying it would be a very useful political tool if you wanted to increase the hype in some country or whatever, anyway, people that are following this. But what they're telling you is their own agenda, rather than what you could actually determine yourself from what's going on above you and the influences, etc.
That's correct. And I would say stay away from the fear porn. They're going to put it on everything.
Yeah.
And again, and I really do. I mean, I try to stay away from I don't have time. It's not that I try to stay away from it. I really don't have time. And a lot of people don't. So it's much easier or better to make your own observations and, to learn to trust yourself on it. What I did on those years on trying to figure it out is it created more questions with me. And so what I did was I looked into how could we be affected by this. And I found out that's when I learned that we had we're magnetic beings. We have an octahedron crystal perfectly at the bridge of our nose, a piece of magnetite, a naturally magnetic, in several places in our body that they call it vestigial in humans, saying that we don't need it anymore. Nor do we need our appendix or that.
Now that's
but we actually have the same thing that birds do or fish do or anything. And I know I can always face north if I try to close my eyes and spin. I have a hard time with left and right, but I can do north and south. We really do feel the magnetic fields. I mean, and we're built with the equipment to do it. They just teach us not to look up at the skies. They teach us not to feel what our body is telling us. And they keep us hooked on to electronics. So I think that we lose a lot.
So what's this thing in our nose? Because That's tangible. That's something people
Here.
can go and look up in
There you
biology
go.
books. When
I'll bring it up right
what
now.
is that? Yeah, is that some sort of crystalline?
Isn't it in all animals? Anyway, you took it to my lap.
Say again, Zach.
Isn't it in all animals?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we're all, yes, it is. And I'm bringing it up right now. Oh, of course, and I bring up, okay, that's better. I brings up people with pierced noses. I swear when you come up with that, I think that's why they pierce the nose. So people looking for nose magnetics or whatever come up with piercings. The body's hidden compass, what is it and how does it work? You can find body's hidden compass or body magnetite in a nose. So this, you can look it up. This sixth sense is turned up in bird beaks, fish noses, and even in the human brain. We have a big piece of it at the bridge of our nose.
That's so
this is bringing in different things, but
no, that is really interesting. I mean, that's celestite.
I'll have a page on that. I'll give you a whole page on that too. This isn't a very good article, but I have a.
Well, I bunged you right on the spot there. So
and normally I pull things up really.
But what is celestite then?
What is celestite?
Yeah.
Celestite.
Is something in our nose?
No, that's magnetite. Magnetite. Okay, what magnetite is? Okay, let's do this. Magnetite. Do you see the octahedron on the screen here? It's a red and blue and done as a magnet. Magnetite, diamonds grow in this too. It's in the cubic structure. Magnetite is just a natural crystal that grows. It's going to form mostly in its natural crystal structure is the octahedron, though it will do some other ones, anything in the cubic structure. A lot of our mountains, it's one of the most abundant materials on Earth. A lot of your mountains and that, especially up in Canada, up around the North Pole, are made pure of it. My magnometer went off of the scale around Banff. What happens with magnetite is it's again naturally grown as a crystal, but something amazing happens is if you columnate it or if you run electricity through it, or a lightning strike, or again a bolt, any type of electricity, it culminates the magnetite and it turns it into lodestone, which is a natural magnet. So that's so when I grow natural magnets, when we're putting in the magnets in our world, we're going to grow magnetite, and we're going to have the gods hit it, or have somebody hit it with a bolt of lightning, or again through the space weather or the weather, the different weathers and that. But everything I'm going to use in the model is natural.
North America or Canada or whatever is made up of a lot of mountains or of magnetite. Does that not like scream Mount Meru?
Yeah, Mount Meru would do this. Let's do a whole bunch of images of, it's a mineral. Magnetite. The difference between magnetite and lodestone is simply lodestone has been culminated, and it's a natural magnet now. It had electricity ran through it.
Culminated. Define.
A column, like in other words, it takes the lattice and it makes it more in a column, and it gives it the magnetic properties that is a natural magnet. So if you see how this stuff grows,
so it's like
you're not looking at what I'm looking at.
But it's like when
could you say that's been polarized?
Well, it's going to have a polarity too. It's going to have a north and south to it on an optical axis, and that we'll get into that. But it's going to take the lattice structure and actually tighten it up, neaten it, and it's going to make this material a natural magnet. This is what natural magnets are. Lodestones. If you hear about lodestones.
Is it like when you're making a blade, a knife blade or something, and you want to normalize it, and then you heat it up to a certain temperature, and then you let it cool down nice and slowly, and all the, like you say, the lattice structure comes into line.
Right. So this does it when the lattice structure comes into line with the electricity in it. It creates your poles, your north, south, and this is how magnets are created. So you grow this, and there's some other stones that can do it, but this is your most natural magnet. If you've heard of it, if everybody's heard of lodestone natural magnets, you get mountains of it, and And again, areas with heavy lightning strikes of this are going to have your anomalous magnetic hills and regions of, magnetic anomalies. You can see how it's growing in your perfect octahedrons, though.
Do
So
we
that's why
know
I'm
if
using
the
this shape.
north? Do we know if the north of America does have a lot of lightning strikes, or?
Probably so. It does. I'm sure it does. And again, you picture the biblical and the bolt of lightning coming from, it's you're working with the natural things on it. So here's your lodestone, which is magnetite that's now a permanent magnet. So we're using that as one of our big building or a building block on it. We're also using celestite, which is another very, very abundant material. And we're using that for K2, our physical moon, because of the if you look at the minerals and what goes into celestite when they grind it, that's what they make our fireworks out of it. That's what they make all of our glow in the dark, all of the different like glow products that you can think of, the little necklaces that you twist and put on it, they're all made from, and again, fireworks in the sky, they're made from strontium, which they get from crushing up celestite, which again, if you're growing this, you can add a few different impurities and that make it a very easily, you grow a phosphorescent and a fluorescent stone as a light. If you were going to put another light in the sky, you would grow it in my mind. I don't know if it's actually celestite, but celestite is what fits gemologically the very closest of anything I can find for the moon. So I have a video out called "Is the Moon Celestite?" and it covers all of the tech things on it, including its Curie point, where as it would get closest to the black sun and radiate and get hot, it would actually shed off, which would be why you couldn't see it, why it disappears. We'll be able to answer a lot of the questions putting it in our model. So until we can take it out, it's held the test of time for a couple of years, and I've tried to replace it and I've tried to rule it out. I haven't yet. Doesn't mean as we go along. So you have your star field. Now we're going to jump down to another part of the map. Don't look at the ground map because we'll put in a pretty ground map. This is just a placeholder with the magnetics on it. But your domes, your magnetic domes are created by the poles. So we actually have, that's gotten busy because I've tweaked during the show. You'll have 3 domes. You'll have the one over the quadrupole here. And you'll have domes that are going to be centering over our poles here. Now, if you look at dipoles and quadrupoles and what they do with the light, they circle the light. We'll be getting into that more too. So what I'm going to call your southern star rotations is I'm going to run our poles up here, and we're going to make toroid fields around this dome and around this dome where our southern field gets. And we're going to talk about at some point our southern star rotations and our sun and our moon, why they rise and go around the wrong way. In other words, why they set to the south. You guys can say that right, but why they do it in the wrong orientation is because you're looking up and they're being affected by the dome here. So they're going to follow the toroid motion there. So another way of getting into it, your Meru in the middle and your islands.
And this can be modeled as well, can't it, with the reverse rotation of the...
Yes. And these are toroid fields. They're toroid fields that are, if I drew better and clip art better, they're toroid fields that are going to center around the poles or our pillars. They're going to do this. I'm going to draw your magnets in. On the model, I use magnets to pin the different layers because if you're only growing things and you're creating, it's hard to grow glue, or I don't know how to, but you can grow different layers and then you can pin it together with magnets, and you can do it at different angles and create all kinds of what I would call magical effects, rotation, optical. We're going to go crazy on it. And as soon as you put them into layers on here and pin them like to the deep and then to Terra and on the different layers, you're going to have an interaction between all of your layers. So you're going to have your sun and moon going out there, but you're also going to have your volcanoes, your earthquakes, your different things happening here, because these magnetic fields are going to play with these magnetic fields that are going to play with these magnetic fields that are going to play with these magnetic fields. It's a series, and the series causes rotation at every level. And that is, I mean, the Faraday effect is rotation and circular polarity, Faraday rotation and Faraday effect on this model. What I would predict that would happen as far as rotation is happening at every level. This is fairly flat, but going out here, your start field is reflecting onto your domes. So your southern star fields are going to pick up your stars here, but as they reflect on here, they're going to circle, you're going to have that rotation going around the southern star field.
Yeah.
The
Just
North
one
Pole is
point
going to go around here, yeah.
One point I was making last week that I think is probably quite pertinent to mention now is that computer models might not be our answer here either, insofar as we found at least two examples that we can model in a computer that don't show us the
reality
results that we see in reality, which is actually quite disturbing and quite it's a bit of a kick in the nuts for those of us that thought that we could just stick all these things into a computer and look from the surface of Mars or see an eclipse from the moon or any one of these things. But in actual fact, computers are limited to what the information that we put in. I mean, it's bullshit in, bullshit out. If we put bullshit in, then we're going to get the same out, and that's what unfortunately I think we've come up against, is that we can model things as closely as we think they should work, but in reality they don't work on the computers. So it's kudos to people like you that do things in reality rather than in ones and zeros.
Right. I am not working. I am touching all of the things I'm doing. I have a Ferrocell. I have, like, again, I might mock it up badly, but I'm at least trying to touch the effects on it. And what we have learned so far is we've had two real effects that in reality happen. We'll do that next week. We'll go over those. And as far as I understand, neither one are replicated in computer modeling.
And
would we
for
be able to
anyone
program
listening,
them in? Yeah.
those were the myroscope and what was the other one?
The other one was Bell's theorem, the eclipses, which we'll hit that later, that if you were to look at a Bell's theorem, I replicated with Polaroid filters and got all of the phases of an eclipse. But if you were to do that computer modeling and stack the Polaroid filters or the regions of polarity, you would get a whole different, that is part of the Rahu Ketu and the Faraday effect. So we will cover that. I'm getting tired. So I'm going to let you guys talk about this, and I might even I'll drop a copy in and you guys can break it up and play with it more. Because again, I'm adding pieces. I've not added a lot. I've not added the Antarcticas. We have to do a pretty ground map, which if anybody wants to explain oranges to anybody, you can, or I can do that on another show. But we'll take this down over here a little bit and look. Finish the layers a little bit on there and take it up on there. You have your great deep, the primordial waters. Again, we're going to fill this in: Sheol, Hades, Hell, the underworld, magnetics, volcanoes, earthquakes, anomalous magnetic regions like the Bermuda Triangle in different areas. We have to get Terra in on here, which is our realm, Gaia, your magnetics, your ley lines, your four corners in all of histories, the local magnetic anomalous regions, sprites, elves, what comes through our dome when it comes through all matter in the firmament, miroscopes down and interacts with our magnetic field. So in your magnetic fields, you have the atmospheres, the weather, the Coriolis, the fictional, but just a little bit of your hurricanes and that, your three fields of rotation and lensing, which We can pull up a lot of scientific papers and try to see what reality magnets we can make out of it. You have 2 bipoles. So you have a bipole, quadrupole, and a bipole. Looking up these magnetic configurations and what they do and where they use them will blow your mind. They create motion. They create every effect you can, every effect we're looking for, they do. Your sky motions, your southern star rotation, your southern rise and set of the sun, moon, and planets. Our magnetic fields have a lot of history of being able to answer what we want to be answered, and that again can be a show. Though I don't know, maybe Iron World wants to. I'm taking over your show, so I don't know how we'll do this in the future because there's so much.
No, you're doing well, Cami.
To
you're
do.
Doing well. But are you looking for volunteers or people that are interested in this sort of area
Yes.
that can do
Yes.
research alongside you?
Yes, or put together, and any everybody knows what their niche is, so their area of helping would be what they can do the best, and I would love to get that information on it. I'm going to
We almost need to set up one of those open project
yes.
pages and just have these sort of things put out there, because it's so much for one person to do.
Absolutely. Now,
It's crazy.
here's my question. Isn't it possible that we could do something very like with all the annotations and all that with Zoom that we could all share and all get into and build on? Or is that not, is it, we need something a little more robust, I guess.
That FEUK or in Zoom or whatever. No, I think because again, I can go up and start writing a book on each one of these topics, but again, I'm trying to not get down into I'm trying to stay at the whole picture right now, and then we're going to take down some little ones. I'm dropping into the Skype chat, boys. I just sent you where I am so far on it. It's called Unity Diagram 2, and I just dropped in there that you all can play with. That's just in Word. You could open it if you have a different version. It could be crazy. So I can always tie it down like I did in PDF for the last one.
Okay, after all the digging and being distracted a bit and listening to you fully, my goodness, it was just so much.
So
the whole crystal thing. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to swing the bucks that would be required to get the P900, the P whatever. So I was limited to whatever fondle slab device I currently had. Started out doing all my little videos at the beach and all that with an old Tab 4, really basic crap, which after Crow came on, we found out with its overexposures and etc. actually revealed a lot. Then I got a 7 Edge with a way better camera, and I could go in and adjust for ISO and different settings that would let me make the stars visible, and I could set it for long exposures and just kind of lay the camera down flat up at the sky and get some great pictures that way. Well, doing that early on, before I knew about, real astrophotography or anything like that, sorry, I'm having trouble.
What happened?
Sorry, I was trying to get to my screen share and I lost my mute button again. So doing this video, can I have the screen for a second? That's what I'm trying to figure out, is if I can just do it.
Yeah, I can. Let me get out of the screen. I was bringing up the other Flammarian, but that's a whole. Do I still have a screen share up?
Yeah, that's what I can't do here. We request.
I'm trying to get my full screen, trying to where to. Oh,
and I don't know.
I found it. I found it.
Okay, you got it. Okay,
got it.
You. All right, hang on 1 second. And again, this is not like amazing, but it's just kind of cool that again, with Crow and the discussion on share, there it is, on the overexposures and things like that. I was doing a video one night trying to capture some of what people were doing with all the cymatics and stuff. And these are still shots from the video I made. And I'm looking through them, just trying to get, And I
Oh,
keep
well, look
seeing
at those
like
crystal shapes.
shapes. I know. I keep seeing tetrahedrons and cubes, and
That's
this is the one that broke my brain. I mean, it's my thought was it's a D&D star dice in the sky, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have a close up of it somewhere further on, but just the shapes that keep being revealed.
These are all your sacred geometry or your lattice structures of the different minerals, your different crystals.
And the star, I had it in the video. I have it listed. I don't remember. I think it's Arcturus, maybe. It's not one of the more common ones that I had seen, so it was cool that I was getting it. And I was way out in a cane field just doing the video. And as I was doing the video, I kept seeing these shapes pop in.
I mean, Cami, as a qualified gemologist, that's what you go by, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing stuff in here that you normally see in microscopes and things. Is that right?
That's correct. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that was some of the stuff I kept picking up. Like on the video of this, these shapes stay next to the sun while this red lens flare moves everywhere. I have that video somewhere too. That's just like the one I did at the beach with this camera that was overexposed. That Pro was saying, yeah, the overexposure is probably why you were able to catch that, because this thing fully
that's a wicked shot.
That's fabulous. I mean, I'd love. Look at that.
Yeah, I'll find the video. Again, this is all dug up. Oh, wow. What is that? Oh, that's my buddy took a picture. You can't hardly see it here. There's a shadow in the clouds. It looks like a skull right here. I have a better shot of it. Anyway, when he was at Disney World. Where's the other one I just saw of that close-up?
Chemtrails?
Yeah, of course. I was always doing the chemtrails. I just
have
had a
so many
real
of those
close-up
too.
of the crystal somewhere.
This
is the curve.
Right, the curve. Oh, I love that shot. I know it.
The curve.
There it is, the big shot of this thing. That thing just blew my circuits.
That's an octahedron. Your other one was had 7 sides on it. This is an octahedron. You can see
are
the
these
crystal.
crystals able to morph? Are they able to change freaking shape? Or is it the frequency that's causing the shape to be there in the medium they're in? Is it a matrices that
they grow in these shapes. They grow, pull up a Google page and do crystal crystal lattices or whatever.
Wait, let me go back to the first ones. This is all one star. This is not different stars.
Oh, okay. If it's all that, then it's just it's not morphing. You're going to see different faces of it.
Is that what it is? It's spinning and turning, showing different faces. Hell, of course it is. The Merkaba. Oh shit. Okay.
If it's a Merkaba, what is this supposed to be of? Is this was Arcturus or that? So you'll have
that's the star. Yeah, I'm trying to get back. I can't go back.
We may have to start like pulling stars up in files and identifying and doing.
Yeah, all of these are all the same star as it coalesces.
Oh, now see, I see the 7. Okay, so you're getting here. Oh,
the different like that, the different colors. I mean, that it looks very.
This is.
And there's that one that's with that weird thing here, this extra. I don't know. It's all, like I said, the video's on my channel somewhere if you want to watch it.
Yeah, I do.
It's like taking a close-up of an electric spark or something and trying to make sense of it.
And that's also true, John.
It could just be a spark.
But one of them almost had that swirly.
Type in dodecahedron and bring up an image after you bring that one up. You got it. Type in, go to a Google browser or whatever.
There it was, the swirl.
Okay.
You see the different lobes right here and here and here, and it's all like almost like that flower shape you were talking about of the heliosphere a while ago. Okay, hang on a second. 1 second. I actually need to not be doing too much screen sharing because I will wind up killing myself on the call. So let me give it back to you. I just wanted to share the.
Well, I'm going to sneak out for a minute for a walk, but just type in somebody with the screen, type in
pop it in
dodecahedron, and I can come back if you want, but I have to stretch my legs, stretch and.
Absolutely, that's actually why I disappeared for a minute. I had been sitting for too many hours today and had to get up and walk around. So my apologies for being gone for a second.
Not at all. Look up dodecahedron and
we can all take a break. Yeah, we've been at this a minute.
Yeah, we can even call this a show and say that we have plenty more to go with. I did drop it into the show chat, the diagram. You're welcome to share with anybody, move things around, or I'm going to keep on putting the pieces together. And when I get enough of the pieces in there, hopefully somebody with artistic talents can see where I'm going with it and make it, because again, it should be a thing of beauty. It really is a thing of beauty. And so that is like a big concern of mine. But
shout out to
I'm
Noxie.
not.
Noxie.
There you go, dodecahedron.
All right, there it is.
And what's a dodec? That's 20 sides?
10.
Yes.
10 sides.
But if you, bring it, and then what do we have? Yeah. Do the blue ones at the icehedron. Again, you can just flip through these and go crazy on the different sacred geometry. These are the shapes that crystals grow in the natural. I mean, this is where you're getting it from, is how things grow. If you haven't seen the 1958 crystals video, another one to drop in the chat, it's worth watching. I think you'll learn more from that one video than probably 30 hours of listening to me even. But
well, I've grown one crystal, and
there you go.
It came out in the dimensions of the Egyptian pyramids, basically. It was triangular. It was perfectly shaped.
Perfect. Yes.
It was perfect on. It was just unbelievable, and it was just grown out of a solution. Alum, is it called?
Alum. That could be alum. I recommend everybody, even if they grow sugar crystals, or look at salt close up with the magnifying glass. Look at rocks close up and see the different minerals and crystals growing together. Pay attention all around you. This is how it grows. I mean, it's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
And you're not wrong, Cami. We've been going for just over 3 hours now. I can't believe it again.
I know it feels like we should just take a break and go right back into it because it's so mind-breaking, but certainly everyone's exhausted. You're, man, wearing yourself out with this, and thank you again so much for the effort and energy and love you're putting into this, Cami. I can't thank you enough, truly, from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for letting me come on and share it, and like the advice and the different things that we're going to learn and put together from it. I have a great start on it, so I'm going to keep on working, and hopefully, I don't know if we'll take next week off or if we'll do it next. I know that we've got people coming into town for an FEUK thing around the 18th of May. We'll have to look at the things, but by the next time I'm on there, we could either do Faraday, Rahu, and K2, or at some point we can like have enough to introduce the model as a whole, which I started doing today. So you guys can think about it. It's all what you want. You might have to do Iron Realm 5 days a week, you know?
Well, by the looks of it,
or I'll have to go somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it all out.
It's not a bad idea because, like we said when we started this, this is the third week you're on now, and we've said that this is a slow process. This is something that we're all learning together. And we're exploring together. We're looking for your input. It's not a done deal. The science isn't done. And I just think it's great. Yeah, I don't blame you if you take a week off next week. I might join you as well. But I just think it's been awesome. And yeah, I'm enjoying the joint learning of finding this stuff out and exploring it. That's all we can do at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, you are a wonderful teacher, Cami.
Oh, thank you. That means the world to me. It really does.
You're welcome to just come and hang out too, Cami. You don't have to come with a presentation. Just come and hang out. We have a guest on. Cool. Cami wants to come and hang out with us, with our guest. You always have a spot. Feel free to come in. If you have something to say, if you just want to come in, kick back and decompress a little bit, you are always welcome.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And I would love to have such wonderful guests. And there's so much going on other than the model. Again, you can't live in one thing. I've been a little bit focused. But again, it's all part of the game of life. And I feel like we're making strides.
When you talk about great guests we have here, we had a great one this morning over there on Ironworks with Shelley Lewis, and her being on that FER live site and me looking through all the great people on there really got me thinking about us maybe putting something up there too. So us maybe being on 5 days a week isn't too far in the future. So you guys, with all this inspiration and all the spreading and networking and getting more people to help us with this, I mean, just the access of meeting Shelley this morning and all the people she's connected to with this documentary going forward is just going to be great. So yeah, I can't imagine us not finding the right people to make this model digestible.
I don't know how you can even consider it, mate. One day a week's enough for me. But
what are you talking about, John? We're still trying to get you guys lined up for Ripples Across the Pond podcast.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's the title right there. It's done.
That's my problem. Our problem. So we have such huge aspirations at, sort of 12 o'clock at night.
We went from no show
we wake up in the morning
to 3 shows. I mean, dude, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
And really, it's not like it would have to be necessarily a scheduled every week thing. You and Adam get together, make a presentation, get a guest, do whatever, and record it, edit it, put it up live at your leisure. Don't feel like it's got to be a pressurized here. You got to make sure it's released by X date and this specific time. Just do it, and then just get around to doing it.
That's right. No, I did make a note in the in our DMs, didn't I, about some sort of UK IRM thing.
I'm telling you, I think there's enough people out there that you could carry a 90-minute show at least.
Hell, there's at least 20 people watching now. Can't go wrong, mate.
I mean, it'd be as easy as Walt and I just doing a completely American show, only having Americans or North Americans even, and just doing it that way and just excluding all you UK. It'd be really simple. We could just line up guests, no problem. And especially if we're not doing it at 4 o'clock in the effing morning.
That's also the plan with the FDR live thing, is to have a better slot than that early morning one, hopefully.
Think of all the guests you guys could get if you could just take them at the time that's good for them.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? I used to do that before. About 10 years ago, I used to do that with a friend of mine. And we interviewed James Corbett, and we interviewed the MI6 woman that I can't remember her name. Oh, God. But, we used to do some quality interviews and edit them down and release them. Well, actually, when it came to Corbett, he's like raging workaholic, and he actually released his recording before we could actually get ours out because he was so impatient. But there you go.
Screw the cowbell. I need more Savage.
Oh, I got to pull it up. Damn it. The one time I don't have it highlighted and ready to go or turned up. Being responsible. Savage! There we go. That's what we needed.
Thank you, Josh.
More Savage.
Well done. Okay, guys, I'm going to step apart away for a minute. If you're going to want to get back, thank you so much for having me on.
When you came, I thought you were already doing your break.
Yep, I was listening. You guys are great. Thank you again so much. And Adam, I'd love to work with you or John or anybody anytime. I know how hectic life gets, so you can't ignore life to do it. So if a time works, well, y'all have my number. Thank you guys again, and take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cami.
Love you,
Appreciate your time.
So much.
Love you guys.
Adam's passed out, but I'll say goodnight for him.
All right. See you guys Sunday on Globebusters.
Absolutely. We will be
All
there.
right.
I will.
You know it.
All right. Bye, Zach. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, Cami.
Bye, Cami.
Yeah, when 3 hours just fly by and I'm ready to take a break and keep at it.
Crazy.
Holy crap. This has been,
It's a good feeling, isn't it, Josh? Getting to the end of the week. Done your bit on the mainstream shows. Everything's cool. You can go to sleep. Wake up. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'm looking real forward till tomorrow morning. I'm going to sleep in so late. It'll be like 7:30 before I get up.
7:30. That's when I get up at 7:30 too for a leak. And then I go back to bed for another 5 hours.
Yeah, nope. I'm that is really sleeping in for me. If I can make it all the way to 7:30, I don't usually.
No, I sleep through all the hip joints. I sleep through all of that. Yeah, not a problem.
Like just a normal sleeping in. Just a nice relaxing day is like 5:30 in the morning. If I'm up at 5:30, I'm usually cool. Usually there's some part of me that makes me wake up at some point, usually between 2:30 and 4:30, I'm going to be awake. And if for some reason I have to be up, then my brain will just kind of stay on. And
so what do you call being up? Are you saying
in the kitchen
that
making
on a
coffee?
normal day you get up at 7:30?
On a normal day, I get up at somewhere between 2:30 and 4:30
in the morning.
Yes, yeah, but and I can narrow that down. Usually between 3 and 4, I'm usually up on a normal day.
And what time do you go to bed?
Depends. Like a late night for me is 11.
Okay.
I'm usually asleep and passed out on a typical night somewhere between 9 and 10.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. We're complete opposites then. Complete mirror image. Because, yeah, I don't think the night starts until about 11.
Yep. See, John, you and I are on that same wavelength. I'm all about the late night owling and all the late night digging through, and the brain just seems to wow. Because if I'm laying in the bed, it's strictly so I just assume be up, you know.
It's just one of those things. At nighttime, no one's going to ring on your front door for a start. You know, the kids are in bed. No one's sticking around with, it's dark outside. Everything's quiet. That's what I like.
Me too.
First thing in the morning, some arsehole's going to ring on your door. Your kids are going to come knocking at your thing.
Not at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I'm the only asshole.
No, 3 a.m. I'm with you because I'm going to bed at that point.
Raging, right? Oh hell, I'm pushing hard. I'm going like, no, it can't be already almost 6. That's bedtime.
I'm telling you, it's one of the coolest things I really love to do is to wake up, go out in the kitchen, make a pot of coffee, and shut off all the lights and sit by myself in the dark and just watch sort of the light come and dawn approach. But yeah, we can bake all about it.
Completely the same, but the other way around.
I still say that's how we should live. I mean, it says it right there. And the evening and the morning were the first day, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Not day to evening, evening to morning. JS.
Right. Hacksaw said it too. There's just doesn't make any sense, evolutionary speaking, that we would go to sleep at night as a human being. Why would we be most vulnerable when we are most vulnerable? That's just the most stupid thing you could do. Evolution.
Why would you get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning when it's bloody freezing, it's cold, no one's about? It just makes no sense to me at all.
Best time to do your gardening is early in the morning before it gets hot.
Yep, I can remember my grandmother getting up at 2 and 3 in the morning and making coffee as I'm still awake, going, "What is this lady thinking?"
I can understand that. Yeah.
Now 11:30 hits and I'm ready for a nap.
Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun.
Did you say Englishmen drinking Mad Dog only go out in the midday?
I'm neither an Englishman and I don't drink Mad Dog.
Good on you for both accounts.
Anyway,
Mad Dog 2020.
I'm sure I should say on that note pretty soon.
Absolutely.
We have Gary here. Shall we talk to Gary real quick before we get out of here?
What? That would be an amazing wrap up.
Gary's been sitting here patiently.
I didn't know you'd snuck him in. I know I talked to him in chat for a moment. And then
how long ago was that? Because that's when he popped in.
That's been forever ago. When I started digging through 100 million files to find those crystals in the sky, it just...
See how patiently he's been waiting? He may not even still be there. Gary, you with us? You're muted up. Just wanted to let you know.
Only if he turns his camera on. We can only talk to him with the camera on.
Right.
You can only see me, John, if you come to Amsterdam.
Yes,
I've already seen you.
The best flat extortion. FE all the way.
You mean you can only see me if I come to Amsterdam?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're a bit of an enigma. Everyone wants to see you. Nobody cares about anything else.
Only you, Gary. Only you.
I'm a nobody, mate. It's you they want to see. But I've been listening to obviously the show tonight, and it's been as I think it's been like most weeks. It's fascinating what's been discussed. It's really good, the back and forth.
Yeah, she blows my mind. I really love the information she puts out there. She is not afraid to ask questions, and she's not afraid to look for answers. I think there's going to be people out there that see this and think, oh, look what she's trying to say. This is what everything is. Look, these are her stupid answers. None of this works. None of this is true. This can't be true. This is all dumb. I've never seen any of this. Well, that's sort of the point. She's just sort of building a model. She's just including everything. And we'll just start marking stuff off and crossing things off the list as we go. Hashtag test it. But we got to have it there to be able to test it. That's the power of the imagination. First, you have to be able to imagine it. Then you have to be able to figure out how to test it.
And we're not above blowing things out of the water and saying, nah, that's bollocks. Even if it's coming from Cami and whatever. But from what I'm seeing from Cami is that it's coming from a sort of point of observation and repeatability and everything else, but it's also tying in with a lot of mythology and ancient texts. I think it's quite interesting at the moment. I think it's absolutely brilliant. What did you think of it, Gary?
I must admit, I only listened to about an hour's worth, but it's the bit where you're talking about the dome, and I think J.R.R. Tolkien was mentioned as well. And I haven't listened to a ton of Cami stuff, but I'm aware of the power of what she's saying, as all the how it just makes you, because there's nothing really massively new happening in Flat Earth. I mean, there's always things happening, like false lines happening now in the colour we could put FE core, and different things are happening around. But this seems to feel a little bit, I don't know if using the words groundbreaking is the right words, but it just seems to almost makes you think, oh, okay, well that's an interesting thought. No, that doesn't mean it's correct or we have all the answers. It just seems fascinating though to have it's almost like a whole new line of physics, for want of a better word. I mean, it's a whole new way of looking at things. But I think from the little I understand, because it does blow my mind a bit, it's fascinating.
So, Gary, the big question is, did you win at poker?
How much?
They paid out the final five. I came sixth. Oh, bollocks. So I was third last week, so I was all right. So yeah, I'm doing all right. On a Friday, I always used to struggle like crazy because they would be quite reckless on their gambling, on their bets. But I'm slowly but surely understanding how they all operate. So I'm getting better, it seems, even though I've got a lot to learn.
That would be the title of my book if I ever write one. They paid out the top five.
Say that again.
Have you ever read the International Book of Body Language?
Have I read the book?
Yeah, International Book of Body Language. It's great. It's a must-read for poker players.
Okay. Well, the thing that fascinates me is that a lot of people, they think that it's, they just give it under the blanket statement of, oh, it's gambling. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever played it or you do play it, but there's there's so many facets to it that it blows my mind on the complexities of it all and the simplicity. But at the same time, there's so many layers to it. There's so much like the position you're in, your stack size, reading body language from the people, trying to read the story as the cards come out. And one of the things I've really got to try and suss out is the betting range, because you've got to not only understand the range of the cards that the people have obviously got, or what you think they've got, what they are capable of playing with, but it's actually knowing when to exploit, when to draw them in slowly, when to actually attack, when to try and push them off the pot. And even though it sounds straightforward, it isn't. There's so much to it.
Yep, I remember watching a movie called Rounders once upon a time with Matt Damon. It was really, really good. A movie about cards, poker, and a little bit of Texas Hold'em, I believe they were playing.
I was actually dealing at a casino when that movie came out, and one of the guys that was my pit boss, this old guy named Mr. Bill, was like, I mean, man, watching him handle cards was like watching a magician. And he was known in Vegas. They didn't let him gamble anywhere. Like if he walked into a casino, they instantly had the eye on this guy on him, and he couldn't play. And so we would always meet up after work, and all of us would play, and he would, he'd play 2 or 3 hands, take everybody's money, and go home. I split a pot with him one night, so I can say I held my own against the man.
Well done. Well, it's like sometimes I watch videos of like Daniel Negreanu or Phil Ivey or whoever, and you imagine sitting down at the table with Dan Negreanu, and he's like on the other side with his big stack or whatever, and I don't know, we all have our people that we just like, you just be in awe, I think.
So we had Didi on here for a little bit, and she clued us in about the guest showing up. What do we call it? Decimal Z? Is that where we are?
Yes. He used to be Dr. Zach.
Right.
And I don't know if Didi's mentioned this, but I don't believe, and I'm 99.9% certain on this, that Zach has ever presented in front of an audience before. He's never done it.
I think that's what she said. I think this will be his first time actually like getting up on stage and doing something like live in front of an audience.
Yes.
That's going to be.
He doesn't really present in his own videos. That one time he's been behind the desk a couple of shots, and other than that, it's just voice. So yeah, I'm excited.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's quite unique. And my question is for the likes of like, I know that in listening to the enthusiasm from all of you, but mainly John, reference Cami. I mean, I just out of curiosity, John, just in theory, in principle, if say Cami ever presented her material live, would that be something that would be of interest to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What you would attend?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, if it's on a Friday night and she's presenting it live on Have No Sphere on the Iron Rail Media YouTube channel, does that count?
No. I mean, about if she's just going to do a presentation one day, somewhere in, I don't know, somewhere in Europe.
I'd like to know, Gary, is what you have planned for next year's Flat Earth conference.
Well, the only thing is, though, John, is like like last year we were talking about Birmingham and next year we may do Amsterdam. I'd be really interested in Amsterdam. And
I know.
And Billy Bullshit was actually saying how he would be very interested in Amsterdam. So what we do, we don't want to do Amsterdam. It absolutely is the worst thing we ever want to do. The last thing we want to do, but we think, we'll do it actually just to get John along. And it's a waste of space.
It's such a suffer to have to host a conference in Amsterdam, and I know I feel for you. I feel for you hard, but where are you taking this? Didi's gone. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go next year? You gotta make it bigger and better. You know that, don't you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I need, because obviously Didi's obviously explained that she's going down a career path. So I need a new running mate. So you could be like the Sarah Palin of the convention world.
So there you go. Anyone out there who needs a running mate, who wants to be a running mate with Gary?
He could pull all the strings from behind the scenes, Gary. He could be the secret hand that controls all.
I do that anyway. Well,
but that was actually an invite, an offer, an olive branch to John.
I know he's trying to just ease on around it subtly, not so subtly, but yeah, you're not getting away, buddy.
Well, I think.
No,
I think
seriously,
the reason,
Gary,
Go
come
on.
on, seriously. What's going to happen next year?
I've got to be honest. I have
Is
no
Didi
idea.
the end of it?
She's a significant part to it, as you can
Hell
probably
yeah.
imagine.
Well, we all know that. You're bloody useless. But have you got anyone else in the in the sidelines to take over from Didi?
No.
Oh, mate. So
Very-
this really
she's a
is the
very-
last.
Yeah, she's a very, very hard act to follow.
Hell yeah.
And one of the best things, I would say that the two significant, if I had to say the three, there's actually three things that are really significant for me. Is one, finding that Flat Earth in the first place, because obviously without that, nothing else really, nothing else happens. And the second one was, I wouldn't even come up with the idea of the convention in Birmingham. It was actually, I was having a chat with somebody and we were just chatting about Didi and whatever, and we just like chewing the fat. And I said, "Oh, when Didi comes back from America, because she went to the convention over there, when it was North Carolina, Didi had already agreed that she was going to help, and it was like almost like behind the scenes helping." And I thought, "Sod it, I've got to make her a bit more of an active, card carrying member, a partner really, because." I just think that she had a lot of potential. What I didn't realize is how much potential. It's a little bit like you having like Cami on every week. It's bigger. I'm so glad that you're doing this because it's so bigger, so much bigger than what it first looks like. And that's the same with Didi. I mean, she's just an absolute diamond in every level, and I love her to bits. She's just absolutely brilliant, and she gets the job done. She's very efficient. But it's trying to if you were to do something, it's making sure you're always being progressive. And I love what Robbie's doing. I think he's doing a fantastic job in America and like Canada. But I personally do not want to just literally repeat. And that's not a criticism. That is just literally how I and Didi and I have had like loads of brainstorming sessions in the past about what do we want to do, how do we want to do it, and whatever. And we're always looking to try and, like, for instance, if you think about it, Robbie has done it in 2 countries, and Didi and I are kind of emulating it. Really, it's because it was always going to be Birmingham, and then we were looking at Europe, and then it seemed to like take a back seat, and then it's raised its ugly head again. But we just want to be progressive, and it's just the way we wanted to do it, and we both felt the same independently of each other as well as collectively. So it's a difficult one to replace, but it's knowing that if you do something, that it's the right people come along and you've got something that you can get your teeth into and it's worth it.
So what about you and say Robin and Roxanne? So
who knows?
Together and conglomerating as a one sort of thing, because we need these things. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get on well with Robin and Roxanne and Jason. Everyone. They're all good people, and it's really nice when you actually respect their work. They put in a lot of work, but you can work with them if something did happen. So never say never. But nothing's been conjured up yet. But obviously, as we spend time with each other, partly on the tour, but mainly at the conventions, then obviously. We'll be chatting about different things, and then it's like with Didi, she may get stuck into a job, it settles down, all of a sudden she's got a little bit more space and time there than she first thought. Who knows what may happen there? So
So what you think about? Here's my thought, Gary. I just heard at some point recently the organizer of the Woodstock 50th anniversary has confirmed that it will definitely be taking place. So 50 years later, they're still managing to organize and coordinate all these bands and all these people and fans and listeners and press and everybody in a huge open field for a week. I would just want you to think about that when you're sitting around the campfire. Listening to people play guitar, sing music, stroll, just to have a conversation and just people actually socializing with other flat earthers outside around the fire. I think that it may not be the same thing that you and Didi did, because Didi's shoes are very big shoes to fill, as Cami said. But I think the next iteration could still be very impactful. And it doesn't have to necessarily be as involved as what you and Didi have done, or as involved as the Woodstock's 50th anniversary. But I think people out in nature coming together for a couple of days, I think, is going to be where the real magic happens. You're right. I think that it's not a knock on anything that Robbie's done or any of these other conventions. I think those are all great. But I think that on the cheap, on the free, and just having people out there vibing together in those vibrations of nature, I think is going to be awesome.
On that note, we were chewing the fat on that very subject about 6 months ago, and we were thinking that, okay, let's say that 2020 is definitely on our radar. What we'd like to do, and we didn't feel that we had the resources or the knowledge to do it. But one of the things that we were, and it's partly down to feedback from other people, really, but we were thinking about having like a festival type thing. You know, you have like a massive marquee, you can have some bands, you have some like presentations that are taking place. So you basically have like a flat earth come. I think John may have actually coined the phrase flat stock, or somebody said. I don't know if it was John or somebody else. It might have been Adam, but flat stock. Maybe I think it was Adam actually.
No, it certainly wasn't me.
Yeah, I think it may have been. When I first said it, John, I thought it was you. Then I realised I think it was actually Adam, and we were talking about flat stock.
But I think you should arrange a cruise to the edge. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Leaving from Australia that doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
The only thing is, though, John, at what point would you actually say, "Sod it, you've got to be there"? What would it have to be?
Me? I'm a bot. You keep forgetting this. I can't be there.
You can't be. Is it? I heard a rumor that you've been on a program, you've taken drugs, and your body's changing shape a little bit. And I just want to know, are you going to be changing names soon?
Well, you can't listen to rumors, mate. You know.
Just be on the lookout for Joanna Savage. She may be appearing soon.
The only thing is, though, John, if you do go down that route, then I just wonder if you need any underwear, bras or something. I don't know.
I'll come to you if I do. No, Gary. No worries. No
Oh,
worries.
that's fair. Oh, that's the deal.
And I think
Gary's going to be the first person I think of.
And I think on that note,
okay,
I'm going to skulk into the background and look.
Okay, because I don't quite know. Getting back to the convention and also, going back to more serious things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite know if I know that we've kind of said this to you unofficially, but the official thing is that obviously we were looking at a Friday night program was going to include an open mic, which I must admit, when we did it in Birmingham, it really, really was fantastic. It was a fantastic, idea from Dave Mannell. It was well received by the people that were there. There was about 100 of us in the room on the Friday. So we obviously wanted to bring certain things that we've learned from the first convention and bring it into the second. But where we were going to do that, we were going to have a little bit of a comedy type act as well. And also we were going to have a DJ with, and that's not quite worked out, because when we went to the venue on Friday, because we went to Amsterdam a few weeks ago to do some research, we found that the venue just wasn't suitable, and we were struggling with what to do. And at the same time, we've also not managed to crack getting hold of anyone from Europe to debate us. So we've had to make a decision, because at the end of the day, we've only got so many months left, and we really need to pinpoint the program. So we've had to completely rethink the whole thing, and that's basically we've had to drop the Friday. So we've now replaced that with what we'd like to do is, even though I'd call it a campsite, it's not exactly a camp in the sense that there's chalets there. But obviously there is camping options. Obviously it is a cheap alternative for people. But the chalet is the thing that is going to be the predominant sleeping arrangements there. But then what we do, we move part of the Friday to the Saturday, because the Saturday seems to be expanding all the time. You know, the people that we got on the program, but it meant that we've had to make a decision not only to drop the venue for the Friday, we've also had to drop the debate, only because we haven't got anyone on the physicist side to debate us. So it's something we had to do reluctantly, but we've had to work with what we've got, and we've had to come up with that decision to make it workable, because again, we've only got, I mean, now we're into like 4 months left, 4.5 months.
Well, still, having Patricia Steer do an open mic, that's a pretty good alternative.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's been mentioned about who's going to do a little bit of fun comedy, but we got Martin Leaker doing that, and I must admit, and I think we may have had this conversation before, when he was when he did his presentation in Birmingham, it was fantastic. Not only, you know, the material was great, his delivery was electric, and I think it's partly down to the fact that he had a bit of a family tragedy at the same time, which obviously we felt for him, you know, deeply. But he was just literally on fire, and he just did a cracking job. That it's just great that he's going to be coming over to Amsterdam and going to be with us, and we're really looking forward to that. But again, getting back to the program, we've had to, you know, we had an initial plan, and we've had to, you know, tweak it along the way because of, you know, nothing is set in stone. Basically, it's a little bit like what will happen in 2020 with any conventions. Nothing's set in stone. It's the same type of thing.
And I guess that's just the beauty of being able to start it so far ahead of time, is that things are just bound to change. Things are bound to fall through. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the things that we were struggling with, because what I did is we wrote to a load of universities in the Netherlands, and, you know, obviously every time we came across any potential in England, we were thinking, okay, could they be a potential debater for the heliocentric model? And every time we thought we were getting somewhere, and we did come across, we actually had a potential with a professor, which we thought would be absolutely just marvelous. It would just be wonderful, and it obviously give it a lot of credibility. But all of them became false dawns, really, and it just literally, we have a date that we have to work to, and that's the last weekend of September. And when we then hit the venue on the Friday, was also a dead duck. We just did literally a couple of hours worth of brainstorming about, you know, all the options, what we can and can't do, and we obviously need to, because I think at this moment, I think Didi and Iru are working on a new promotion, because obviously we've done some footage of the campsite and also the venue. And I don't know if you've seen any of the footage for the venue, but it's a really wonderful place. It's going to be fantastic. It's a library that it's just a lovely location to do what we're going to be doing in September, and it's. And I can't believe that we're into May now, and it's like, you know, we're counting down the months now.
Yeah, it's flying up fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually did. He sent us a bunch of pictures of the venue and the campsite and everything. I'm actually I'll go ahead and screen share it again, because even the little cottages and everything, it looks like a beautiful spot. I think everybody's gonna have a really good time.
Well, the thing about it is that it's a little bit like what you were saying about, wouldn't it be fantastic if you had like around a campfire and you had like a, you know, like almost like, I know the word festival wasn't used, but it's going to have that sort of feel to it. That and we had it agreed with the campsite owners that, you know, we can have people on site that are not staying there to actually take part in any, you know, barbecue or just to sing along or whatever. You obviously have to be mindful of. You know, because it's actually next door to residents. You know, the basic local community. Mm-hmm. But to actually have a get together, and obviously you can't predict what the weather's going to be doing, but it's just nice. And then if people want to go into Amsterdam Centre, then obviously they will, and if they want to be there and to take part, there's that option as well. So it's we're still working on certain things like with the barbecue and what we're going to do with all that. But I think, and to go back to what you said earlier about getting everyone together, when I went to Denver, it just blew me away, just having all the flat earthers together. And it was wonderful because on the Saturday, there's still quite a few of us left because obviously it was a Thursday, Friday convention. And by the Sunday, when Didi and I were leaving, there was probably about 15. It literally spot the person who was a flat earther was on the Saturday. It was almost like most people you saw were still that way. But when you then bumped into people a day after the event and you're reminiscing about it, it was just fantastic. I've got to be honest. It was. I'm just so pleased I made the effort to go over there and built up friendships with different people. Met Cami for the first time, but Bob for the first time, and Jaron, and you name it. And to be on a table and have like John the Morgar on one side of me and Rick Hummer on the right of me, it just moments in time that I just loved.
I bet that's very surreal.
Hey, Gary, are you on a phone or do you have a headset on your head right now?
Yeah, I am using a headset. Is it not very clear?
The reason I'm asking, I keep hearing something that sounds either like static or perhaps
beard
stubble rubbing against the microphone.
That's what that sounds like, a 5 o'clock shadow. Sounds like a guy that's been up playing poker all night wearing a mic.
Rounding and yep.
Is it a bit clearer now?
Yeah, that's it. But actually, we're going to round out. We've been here going on 4 hours tonight. So is there anything else you wanted to pass along to the Walt and I and the other 3 people listening?
Well, only that I'm really pleased that you've made the time and you've been having like Cameo on for the last few weeks. So well done to you guys for that. And in general, fantastic what you do, and just keep doing what you're doing because it's a really good show. It's and I think a lot of people who come on to the show they enjoy it because you all care, you do a good job, and I'd just like to reiterate what we said in the past about thanks so much for the support you've given to us for the convention.
Well, you are absolutely welcome. Anything and everything we can do, please let us know. We are at your service, and we appreciate everything that you're doing.
No, it's really kind of you, and hopefully then when obviously these conventions come up, and in America, Canada, in the UK with Robin and Roxanne and everyone, and the tour, and obviously what we're doing in Amsterdam. There's just a lot happening this year, and it's just fantastic. I still feel that next year is the big one, though. I don't mean conventions, but just in general reference flat Earth. It just seems to be culminating. There's certain things happening, like with 5G and other things that I don't know. I think this year and next year is pretty big.
I think you're right. There's some weird stuff going on. But we appreciate you coming on and following up. We had Didi on earlier, so thanks so much for coming back on, Gary. We appreciate you taking some time.
Gary, thank you for everything you've done, my friend. To say meeting you like this has been heartwarming, and man, again, I'm doing everything I can to figure out a way to come make that hug happen. So,
no, it's really, really kind of you, and thank you guys. And just to have people like yourselves there that put in the effort and help us, and it means a lot to us. It really does.
We love you, Gary.
We love you indeed.
Yep. But you have a great rest of your night, Gary. Enjoy your
Thank
weekend.
you. Well, I'm going to bed because I'm running. Be running a 5K in about 7 hours time, so I'll need to go to sleep soon. But because I was late coming to the party, I needed to obviously hang around and wait for you guys because obviously I need to be respectful to your time with Cami.
Well, thank you, man. Go get you some sleep for that. Shoot, that's crazy. Good luck.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Run your ass off.
See you later, Gary.
Get you an RM shirt for those.
Bye, everyone.
Picture,
Bye, everyone.
What's his name? Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. You remember he's running and you had a giant spherical ball bearing down on him, coming down towards him. That's what you think about while you're running a 5K. Got to outrun the sphere.
I will think of you in the morning.
All right. Good luck, Gary. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, I think we got to wrap this sumbitch up. That's what I think.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody this morning. Thank you, everybody tonight. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Didi. Cami, my God. Thank you is not even the word. I can't wait for this thing to grow and build and get out there. Everybody in chat, we were so wrapped up, or I was so wrapped up in what Cami was presenting, I wanted to see it in full screen. I'm just as enthralled in watching this thing develop as you guys are, even though I'm part of it back here. I really feel like I'm just hanging on for the ride most of the time and just getting blown away with the aha moment. So Cami, thank you again. Thank you, chat, for putting up with our lack of attention tonight a bit. So Josh, thank you, sir. Again, triumphant return to 97.1 this week.
Absolutely.
Here on the channel, if you guys want to go listen to it again at your leisure, it's there at the beginning of the show, certainly. Adam will be on Ballbusters at some point tomorrow. Zach will be... There's no... Man, with Zach, it could be anything at any point. This guy is always on the move, always out there doing stuff, Zach. Thank you for sharing your journey with us as well.
Oh, thank you guys for helping me along. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Indeed.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why I can't get into our YouTubes. Well, you're on our...
I've been in and out of it. I thought I had signed back into my account, but I may not be here. Let me just close out and let you have it all.
Well, for some reason, when I go to switch accounts, it just spins. It doesn't give me the option to even choose a different account. So I can't get on our Iron Roll Media account to... Oh, wait.
Well, I'm out.
Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
I'm out.
Wait a minute. It's alive!
Oh, it has risen.
He still got his head between his legs. Evening, Ed.
Can you hear me?
More or less.
Oh, we love you, cuz.
Oh, my God. Oh, I'm so sorry, man.
Well, we're going to get out of here. We want you to go feel better. There's no sense.
Yes, everybody needs to rest up. Everybody go rest. It's been crazy, especially you, sir. You got recovery to do. And Cami, we don't want you to get in the shape this guy's in. So, Lord, go rest.
Get out of here and I'll cut it. Don't worry.
All right. Sounds good. We really got to figure out some audio issue. For some reason, my soundboard just doesn't come across on the YouTube playback well. It's like it's muffled. I've got a couple ideas, actually. I think we'll have it sorted by next week, actually. I think I know what the issue is. That's neither here nor there. I'm just rambling at this point because I'm effing tired. All right, love you guys. Let's get out of here. I'll play something.
At some point this week, I will finish assembling the 2-hour thing I did over there at Monster Castle. I'm going to do it this week, and then your thing hit, and yours was much shorter and easier to assemble. So I jumped on yours first, sir, but I'll get that up sometime this week, too, and we'll do a little premiere and hang out with chat.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, I'll throw mine up in our playlist that we have on our YouTube channel, our Iron Realm Media Outreach playlist, where I've put up the few appearances I've actually uploaded to YouTube. That's where those can be found. I'll include this one. There's a few of them, I think. Walt, your first one's up there too, I think. I don't know. There's a few stuff. If we on the Iron Realm get out other places, we try to put it up there, though I've not edited anything in a long time. But maybe we'll start doing that now.
Getting back gangbusters. So.
We'll figure it all out. All right, love you guys. There's no sense in dragging this out much longer.
And I want a sound button with that Foley noise of the extraction process.
I'll have to come up with that. I'm going to have to go back and listen back now just to see the sound that I make. That sounds like something I would do. All right, everybody. This has been Iron Realm Media's Have No Sphere. My name is Josh Corey. Thank you to Walt. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to John Savage. And thank you to Zachary Zabala. Thank you to Cami. Thank you to Didi. Thank you to Gary. Look at me go. Everybody, it's been a blast. We'll see you right back here next week at 4:30-ish on Friday. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Sorry, I had to wait for the good stuff to come. So we're just going to let it play a little bit. My bad, Adam. Just a few more seconds. Here we go.